Good morning. I'd like to call the Lyon County Board of County Commissioners to order. Today is Monday, January 5th, 2026. Board of Commissioners convening these other boards. Members of the Board of County Commissioners also serve as the Liquor Board, Central Lyon Vector Control District Board, Mason Valley Mosquito Abatement District Board, Walker River Control District Board, Willow Creek General Improvement District Board, the Silver Springs General Improvement District Board, and during this meeting may convene as any of those boards as indicated on this or a separately posted agenda. Note, this meeting may break between 11:30 and 1:30 for lunch. All commissioners are present and in chambers. Invocation will be given by Wes Shelley of Crosswinds Firmly Assembly of God, followed by Commissioner Casanelli with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
Let's pray. Lord, I thank you so much for the opportunity that we have today. Lord God, just to lead our county. Lord, I pray for our leadership today, Lord, that we pray for unity, Lord, discernment and wisdom. Lord, as we are asking your wisdom, Lord God, to further our county. Lord, be in our time today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This brings us to public participation. No action will be taken on any agenda, on any item until it is properly agendized. It is anticipated that public participation will be held at this time, though it may be returned to at any time during the agenda. Citizens wishing to speak during public participation are asked to state their name for the record and will be limited to 3 minutes. The board will conduct public comment after discussion of each agenda item, but before the board takes any action. So if it isn't on the agenda, please wait if it's on the agenda to speak on that item. Public comment.
You can't over there and think about it. Once again, I'm here to ask you to put speed bumps in front of my house on Osborne Lane and slow down the traffic. The meeting before last, one after I left, when I didn't know you were gonna discuss my situation, the county manager was wrong when he said that the only person I'm complaining about is one neighbor. That is not the situation. During from March to probably October, there are 200 to 300 trips a day in front of my house. Not only vehicles, but construction equipment. Heavy construction equipment. And the county manager said you could put counters out, but when you always put them out, you put them at the stop sign, which is where everybody's going the slowest. If they need to be put out, they need to be put out right in front of my house, which is the midpoint of that road where people are doing their going the fastest. But everybody, you were totally wrong when you said that I'm only complaining about one person. There's 200 to 300 trips a day down that road.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Tim Faust from Silver Springs, Nevada. And if this is not the appropriate time for me to be speaking, please let me know. I can rescind my request and come back later on today.
Is there an agenda item that's covering that?
Yes, yeah, I believe this is gonna be about the solar.
Okay, it'd be more appropriate when we're discussing that item, so we can listen to it all at
Okay,
once.
so I can go ahead and rescind this, all right?
Right, you could come up at that time.
Okay, thank you.
First meeting here.
That's fine. It's just that then it'll be on our minds while we're discussing that item.
Good morning. I do believe that this is a big conflict of interest, having your meeting on Monday because Thursday was New Year's on holiday, because it coincides with the city council meeting that also has the Libra Solar LLC on it.
Thank you.
Mark Jones. I just wanted to bring some information to the public's ears. I was watching a congressional committee meeting the other day, and the subject was fraud in voting in Nevada. And they gave some staggering statistics on how many votes were fraudulent in the last election. There was 42,000 people that voted twice in Nevada. 1,500 dead. 19,000 that did not live here that were voting. 8,000 not a valid address, but vacant lots. 15,000 commercial addresses instead of residential addresses, and 4,000 undocumented workers. There was 89,500 fraudulent votes in this state, which is more than our population as a county. So this is a serious issue, you know, because we work really hard to get people in office that really want to do the job. But this right here would kill our county's vote. It wouldn't mean anything. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention that they are discussing this in DC because this is pretty high numbers. Thank you.
Is there any other public comment? Seeing none in the room. Go to online. Seeing none online. Bring it back to the board. 5 for possible action, review and adoption of the agenda. Any comment, questions? Entertain a motion.
Move to adopt the agenda as posted.
We got a motion. Do we have a second? Second. We got a motion by Commissioner Hendricks, second by Commissioner Hockaday. Is there any public comment on the agenda? None online, none in the room. Go to the vote. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. 6, time certain, 6A, time certain at 9:00 a.m. for possible action. Elect the Board of County Commissioner Chair and to fix the term of office for the chair as required by NRS 244070. We'll take nominations. Commissioner Hendricks.
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Keller to continue as chair for the next year.
I'll accept that nomination, and since I'm there, I'll second it too. So then we'll go to a vote. Those in favor say aye. Wait, public comment? Seeing none in the room or online, go to the vote. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against?
No.
Nay. Commissioner Jacobson and Commissioner Hockaday voted in nay. So motion passes 3-0. Do we got to go back and fix that term?
It should be as part of the as part of the motion, yeah.
I said for the next year, so
Is for the next year, okay? And while I'm at it, for vice chair, it says in our procedures that it is the same term as the chair, so do we have to fix that term? Or say the same thing? I'm just curious, because it's in the policy that it runs concurrent to the chair.
Steve Rye, District Attorney. Yes, you need to fix the term on that too.
Okay. Brings us to 6B, time certain at 9 o'clock AM for possible action. Elect the Board of County Commissioner Vice Chair and to fix the term of office for the Vice Chair as required by NRS 244070. And I would like to make a motion to keep the Vice Chair as is with Commissioner Hendricks. Do I have a second? No, first, you're willing to accept that?
Sure.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any public comment on the Vice Chair? Seeing none in the room, none online. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. Motion passes 5-0. Brings us to number 7, Commissioner County reports. We'll start with Commissioner Hockaday.
Well, a nice vacation time. However, we did lead up the Smith Valley Parade for Christmas, and it was a phenomenal event. I was surprised at the number of floats that were there, and several people said they will be in it next year. It was well attended, hundreds and hundreds of people along the road between Dressler Park and Rosie's. So it was quite an event. Also attended the Smith Valley Youth Foundation fundraiser. That also in Smith Valley is well attended, and it was almost full capacity in the community hall. And I know that the people had a really good time because it was on New Year's Eve. So I know they had a really good time. I saw a lot of them really having a good time. Luckily, everybody made it home safe. The other event that went on in Smith Valley at the West End in Rosie's Restaurant, there was now a huge flag, an American flag, and several, on the dedication on the second, actually it was on the first, we had at 2:00, we had a dedication of the flagpole and the multiple flagpoles that are around it with the Navy, Army, Air Force flags, the Nevada flag. And it was quite a nice ceremony, and it's a very nice addition to Smith Valley as you come in on the west side down Jack Wright Pass on 208. Just, you can't miss it as you come down the hill. It's a huge, huge flagpole. So if you get a chance to get over there, take a look at that. It's phenomenal.
Commissioner Casanelli.
Thank you, Chair. Not a lot to report this time. Just took a lot of time off, spent with family, and had a good holiday. And I did have one meeting with a member of the development community in the Dayton area, discussion on a pending development there, and that's about it. Just enjoyed the holiday with family.
Thank you, Commissioner Hendricks.
I too enjoyed some time off with family, and I did want to take the opportunity to offer my condolences to Commissioner Keller and his wife. They lost a family member over the break.
Thank you, Chair. Don't have a whole lot to report. I apologize to those that I've been locked out of my email since the last meeting, so I think I got that squared away this morning, so I'll get on that. I do apologize for that. Hope you all had a very Merry Christmas. Wish you all a Happy New Year. Finally, I just want to thank the organizers for the staff gathering after our last meeting. And it was great to see all the staff there and get around and say thank you to a lot of those folks that are in the trenches for our county. And then, of course, there was a bunch working that day, and we had to man the ship. But to all our county staff out there and department heads, just it was fun to see a room full of happy people, and or at least they appeared happy. But I want to thank our staff. We have a great staff here in Lyon County. They get a lot done, work tirelessly. So keep us safe, keep the roads open,
keep our offices open, and so job well done and off and running for the new year.
Didn't attend any committee meetings or any of those because they were all postponed because of the holidays. And I had a couple of members of my family passed away, so been pretty busy. Elected officials, manager, county manager.
I was actually just gonna say I've actually been off since Christmas, so today's my first day back, so I don't have anything to report. Just wanted to wish everyone a happy new year.
Thank you. That brings us to elected officials reports. Is there any elected officials? None in the room? None in the room? Appointed officials reports. None in the room? None in the room? Advisory board reports. None in the room? None online? That brings us to the consent agenda. Action will be taken on all items. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine and may be acted by the Board of County Commissioners with one action and without an extensive hearing. Any member of the board or any citizen may request that an item be taken from the consent agenda, discussed and acted upon separately during this meeting. Do we have anybody that wants to pull an item from the board? And member of the audience or online, want anything pulled?
Would it be possible to skip all of 11A through C and move directly to 12C?
Do you want to call? Oh, 12C. Seeing none in the room, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Jacobson, seconded by Commissioner Hockaday. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Brings us back to the regular agenda. Public hearing on planning items. 12A for possible action to approve the request from Stanton Park Development Incorporated for a conditional use permit for a Chevron truck stop / convenience store on land subject to community commercial zoning located in the southwest corner of the intersection of 6 Mile Canyon, Highway 50 in Dayton on approximately 12.41 acre parcel. Senior Planner Lisa Nash.
Good morning, Commissioners. Lisa Nash, Senior Planner. Second. All right. So we're here to talk about the conditional use permit application for the Chevron Truck Stop Convenience Store. The applicant's requesting this conditional use for this operation on an approximately 12.41 acre parcel in Dayton. The parcel is located in the southwest corner of the intersection of 6 Mile Canyon Road and Highway 50. The applicant is also coming forth or will be heard next week for a tentative parcel map application to divide this parcel into two. So the Chevron Truck Stop Convenience Store would just be on the eastern 5.92 acre portion. The site is currently undeveloped. So we'll jump right into what they're asking for. Here's the site plan for the proposed development. The store and restaurant building is in the center of the site. The building conceptual layout includes 2 to 3 restaurant quick food spaces, a pretzel stand, a retail floor area, and a restricted gaming area with less than 15 gaming stations and restrooms. Looks like currently their plan calls for 7 machines there. The site plan also includes 2 gas canopies. You can see the passenger vehicle is on the right side and would have 20 fueling stations. Basically 10 pumps, you can fuel on both sides. And the one on the west side is for trucks, and there would be 12 fueling stations there currently planned. There is truck and RV parking located in the lower left corner of the site, and a car wash proposed to the north of the building. And additionally, the applicant has volunteered to put signage up for no overnight idling at the truck and RV parking areas. They mentioned that at the planning commission. So moving on, master planning and zoning, the project site is located within the Dayton Land Use District. It's within the Suburban Character District and is designated as mixed use. The subject parcel, as you can see on the right, is zoned C2 under the county's expired development code, which is subject to CC or community commercial zoning per the current code of Title 15 and the zoning matrix, consistency matrix. So moving on to the next slide. As you can see here, under community commercial, a truck stop is an allowed use with a conditional use permit. And part of the reason for the conditional use permit is for conditions to be applied to the application requiring mitigation of impacts from the proposed development. The performance-based standards also apply additional standards for the developments of truck stops and convenience stores. One of the requirements, if you look under both of their sections of 15335.03, is the facility must be located on a state highway, arterial or collector roadway. So with that, this is, in terms of that, an appropriate location. The thing that must be considered is its adjacency to residential to the south. So moving on, the applicant provided us with an access and circulation plan so we could see for vehicle and pedestrian safety. The blue and red arrows show the passenger vehicle ingress and egress routes, and the green and purple show the truck and RV ingress and egress routes planned for the site. This will be further reviewed if it's approved with an ADR as the project moves forward, but this was their initial application. There will be additional conditions upon this, especially the ingress and egress from Lyon County roads and NDEP if this project proceeds. They will likely require that the existing proposed driveway needs to be widened further and exit right-hand turn lane out of the property onto 6 Mile Canyon Road for truck traffic, encroachment permits and turn lanes into the site on 6 Mile Canyon Road, as well as protection for the existing power poles and streetlights. So there are more conditions that are applied based on the road and the ingress and egress. There's also conditions applied to the tentative parcel map that is going to be before the Planning Commission next week. So with this, as usual, we look at the chapter 15.230.06 for the findings for a conditional use permit. And I brought up some of the highlights of this. These uses are consistent with the master plan's contemplated use of C2 within a mixed use master plan. The applicant is going to have to jump through a number of additional reports and applications, mass grading plans, building permits, administrative design review to make sure that we can mitigate impacts on the neighboring residential properties. And as I mentioned earlier, site access is going to need to address the access management standards for properties adjacent to Highway 50 that NDOT has. And as you guys are aware, this intersection has been slated in the near future, probably next fall, I believe, next year-ish or so. I'm looking at the county manager for a future upgrade by NDOT, which will include a traffic signal at this intersection. So it is on the in the planning stages and moving forward with that. The applicant's also going to be required to demonstrate to the community development department that they're going to adhere to all the standards for commercial use related to outdoor storage, buffering, lighting, specifically and particularly addressing the impacts of that truck parking on the residential units to the south of the site prior to issuance of any building permits. So I want to acknowledge the public comments that have been received. I've received a number of phone calls. There are some letters in the backup. And I just, as usual, want to thank the public for sharing their thoughts on this project and that hopefully there's some people here to speak to how they feel about this, but the staff does support this application. The applicant is here to make a presentation as well, and if you guys have questions on the roads or the access, Director Homan is online.
Does the board have any questions or comments?
One question that,
Commissioner Casanelli.
thank you, Chair. I was looking here. It says on page 58, there is potential for a future frontage road. And I was curious on what that might look like and if that's what that is. Is there something that would trigger that, or if that's not required, or what we're looking at there?
It's not required. I think it would be somewhat contingent on what the property directly to the south does, if they want to develop that as and possibly come forward as that as commercial or leave it as residential. But the they did leave room on their site plan for a potential frontage road, depending on how development occurs in the area. We don't have a trigger at this point for it, I don't believe.
But
But
that could not intersect at 50 and 6 Mile, though. There's not.
I don't believe it could. It would probably be a
So
way
it would
to
be
exit
just
out of the property later.
From the property and down, further down.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Probably down to an existing road.
Yes.
That's what we're trying to promote, right? Is there any other questions or comments? I do have a couple of them that I just want addressed. You mentioned that down the road, they'll have to do a right-hand turn in and out of the property for the thing. And it says that it's bypass traffic is what they're considering, and it's not going to be bypass traffic because they're going to pull off the highway. It's not coming off 6 Mile where their entrance is. So that's the difference. So when you're talking about cutting that property in half in the future, is there enough room for, and maybe that's for the developer to, because they might have to give up some right away. And I don't know if it would encroach onto that next thing. So I just wanted them aware of it, that it doesn't go over. And that's all I had.
Understood.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Yeah, my biggest concern with this is the traffic that's already existing at that intersection. It already has an F rating. So I'd like to see an additional condition that this can't be occupied until that proposed turn signal is in.
Okay. They will still have to go through NDOT with the traffic and the roads. So this is not settled yet, but I understand your condition. And if you want to add that to the motion, we can add that as a condition.
Any other questions for senior planner? Does the applicant want to go ahead and say anything?
I think he'd like to do his PowerPoint if that's. Yeah.
He should just have to, Martha will go ahead and do your slides.
Oh, okay. Hi, Christopher Maltz, Hartfeld Engineering. We just put this PowerPoint together. We got some public comment and we just kind of wanted to, we kind of grouped all the comments as best as possible. Kind of boiled down to existing traffic concerns, noise concerns, mostly truck engines idling. We had light concerns. We had some other comments, just they didn't need a gas station or didn't want it, or they wanted other uses, and then some people didn't want it developed, which I'm sure is a common thing you hear on things. If we could go to the next slide, I just want to do, so general response, we appreciate all the well thought out comments and politely expressed comments, but some of those comments that are more out there, we will not be addressing, so. Thank you. Next. Next slide, so overview of property. The entire property is currently the yellow outline. But we are applying to parse off that blue outline. Which is where the parcel map we're applying for next, but that's where the development for the petroleum sales, with the truck parking is gonna be. And so the nearest 300 feet, so between the blue parcel and the nearest residential is about 300 feet, about 400 feet distance wise to the nearest actual residence. Let's see. So we did have the concerns about, you mentioned the traffic. I think the applicant would like to stick with the traffic study must be approved by NDOT and Lyon County Engineering. Not having to wait for the traffic light to be installed because we will be working with NDOT on that process and they will have to approve the plans. But I just wanted to mention that we are there. If we can go to the next slide, please. Oh. So this is kind of the ingress egress plan. You mentioned that in the south end, we're reserving that space just because we don't know what the neighbors are doing in the future, and it would be nice to have a frontage road and reduce the amount of people going off and off 50, especially in the future if the entire area is developed. So that we're just kind of ahead for that. This isn't going to be a traditional truck stop. We don't have showers or kind of more of the amenities that a normal truck stop would have. We're just trying to have a few parking places. And then like we mentioned, we're trying to, we'll talk more about the mitigation for the other items later. But so let's go next slide, please. All right. So traffic concerns. Obviously, that's one of the big concerns. The majority of the traffic is anticipated to be pass-by trips. So we have 75% pass-by trips based on IT data for convenience store with petroleum sales. So that's pass-by trip is something where someone's already on the road, they're traveling on the highway, or they're going to work, and they say, I need gas, I want coffee. They go in, they get what they want, they continue on their way. So you're not really adding a huge amount of new traffic to the vehicles, so not a lot of new vehicles. But it will change the turning movement, so people will be on the highway, pull off, go back on.
I'm gonna stop you just for a second because I wanted to clarify what I said earlier about what you're saying is they're already going by. They're already going by on Highway 50.
Yes.
But they're not already going by on.
Yes, I agree, and that's why we're analyzing.
So it's really not a bypass because you have to consider it all as new traffic on that road.
No, I understand, but what I'm saying is the volume of traffic. So you're just gonna have additional turning movements, but you're not adding additional traffic capacity in substantial amount is what this.
Well, I hope your business does really well and it is substantial.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. We do anticipate, so the non-pass by trips those are gonna usually be people in the neighborhood that go there. They run to the store, come back. As soon as that light in, I think we're gonna see more from the south end, but at the start, I don't think a lot of people wanna cross the highway. So, and when I was out there doing the traffic counts, we didn't see a lot of cross highway traffic. Everyone was pretty much either turning on or off 50. Once that light's in, I think we'll see more cross neighborhood traffic, but for now, I think most of the traffic to and from the store is going to be from the neighborhood to the north. And then we are fully cooperating with NDOT and Lyon County for approved traffic impact study. We had a meeting, I think last year, might have been the end of 2024. We with Lyon County and NDOT, and we did identify we're doing 4 intersections, and we're analyzing them existing and as proposed with the traffic lights for the future. So we're not only accounting for current traffic patterns, but we're accounting for 20 years into the future with the traffic lights implemented. So we're doing both scenarios, but we are going to analyze it right now without the traffic lights as well, just to see how that does play into things. So, all right, next slide, please. So these are kind of the main traffic patterns. The big concern is, no direct access from 50. So everything is going to be off 6 Mile right now. So you're seeing a lot of left and right turns. There's the deceleration lanes currently off US 50. But the crucial thing is, once you get on 6 miles, 35, and then you're not having those people going 70, 65 miles an hour, and then trying to make that turn at high speed. But that's kind of the lower the speed, hopefully the less severe accidents when they do happen.
I want to go over that real quick with you. Where the red arrow wheels, that's basically your turn in.
Yeah, it's your turn.
And so, they might end up, or Lyon County might make you put that back farther on that property so they don't get it. So like people making a left-hand turn up the highway, they don't start backing up.
Yeah,
And so that's what I was talking about earlier, when you go to divide that other piece of property off, where you have enough for that turn lane coming from the other direction to go into. So
Okay.
I wanted you to be aware of
yeah, I
that.
know. That's understood, and we'll see what end up.
We'll see if you can get it all in there.
Yeah,
I don't want you to,
We'll see what
So-
he says.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's more of like a geometry thing, and traffic queuing, depending on what it shows. So yeah, most of our access is going to go 6 mile. We're trying to reduce those high speed collisions. So next slide. Safety concerns. So we had NDOT's had plans, particularly as more development, but there's plans for a light here. I know there's a few different options, but the traffic light's a big thing. Also by the Maverick, I know they're planning on doing the light there. That's a bigger concern to them. So we looked at the historic crash data. The biggest area of concern there's just in this corridor, there's a few fatal accidents over the years. But the biggest issue appears to be, and I looked them all up, pedestrian versus vehicles, and then unsafe driving habits. So that would be, people going the wrong way down a lane, something like that. Like I said, we're trying to reduce those unsafe, the geometry, so you can reduce those unsafe driving scenarios or reduce the speed. And really reduce the high speed and fatal collisions off 50. So we have no access off 50. If you go to the next slide, please. This is historic NDOT crash data from 2016 to 2023. So the red are the fatal crashes, and those are on 6 mile. I know both of those occurred, I think those occurred before at least one of them occurred before the realignment. So I know that was a big concern when putting 6 mile. They wanted to curve the road to try to avoid that straight shot into 50, because that was a safety concern. One of those was a pedestrian vehicle, and the other was a single vehicle driving off the road. So I don't think those would be related to roadway geometry or anything like that. This is unfortunate happenstance. All the blue and yellow, the blue is property damage only, and the yellow is injury crashes, but those are no more fatals on 50 right there. There was a fatal down by the Maverick. If we can go to the next slide. So if we zoom in on the actual project location, 34 crashes over the years, probably about average. I didn't see any extreme hazards. Unfortunately, there's just a lot of crashes over the years, and it probably represents average traffic crashes. Next slide, please. So we had comments about night noise and light concerns. So we have lit signage facing 50 and out the residential. We are planning on having the building in between the actual signage, so the signage is actually diagonally across the building from the closest residences. So we did take that into consideration. So we are splitting the parcel and putting it on the easternmost portion of the lot furthest away from residential properties. And then we do have an existing highway there that is generating significant noise and light even in the middle of the night. So I don't think it'll be too much of a concern, especially with the mitigation we're proposing. We are proposing a solid evergreen tree hedge next to the truck and RV parking station. So if we could go to the next slide, we'll show that. So we want to pick evergreen trees with low branches that are going to block any lights and at full maturity, and we want to plant them as close as possible for that maturity, so that it actually acts as a hedge when it's built out. So we're picking trees like eastern red cedar, or blue spruce, something that's more like a Christmas tree shape, blocks the lights. We have recommended the no overnight truck idling or no truck idling signs for noise concerns, because that is a concern. This is, like I said, it's not a full truck stop. We're not having 50 trucks or more, just a few spaces for people to pull over if they need to. Next slide, please. We've had some people just saying they want other uses, so luckily the other portion of the lot will be remained, and I'm sure they'll take those comments into consideration for what is needed in the neighborhood. And then I think the last slide is just people saying, I think that's it, but yeah. You guys have any questions?
Any other questions for the board?
I got
Commissioner
one-
Casanel.
Just one comment, I know you've had concerns brought up on the lighting, the area lighting, and you've got it addressed here, that the site area lighting is gonna be facing downward, but I don't know if.
Yeah, and like I said, I think any lit signage for the store is gonna be facing the main streets, not the backside.
Sure, I'm thinking, it might be wise to maybe shield the lighting on the western side. Shield it just from not even going that direction at all.
Yeah.
But
No, I understand. I mean, you need some
Just a
lights
comment.
under the canopies just from the.
right, yeah, but I don't know if you have a big area.
Yeah, I don't
Lights.
know, if you wanna pull up, is there a standard language for the lighting, I think, that the county uses?
Yes, we do. Well,
Lisa Nash, senior planner, we do have standard language that requires shielding and that it can't go off the property boundary, et cetera, and we will. I believe it is one of the conditions, and then we address it further with the ADR.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions? I have. Yeah, just. Been looking through that, can you, I know you talked about the trees that you're planting, what's that, privacy wall you're putting in?
Privacy wall.
Are you putting in, anything at the boundary?
I don't think we're putting a privacy wall at this time. I mean,
What type of fencing, anything?
I don't think we have any fencing proposed. I don't think we had any fencing proposed.
Thank you. I did have a question. Do we know the proposed time for that light to go in? I know it's a tentative thing, but is it on the NDOT? I think it's on their stiff. I just don't know what.
Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager. So I know that they were planning on starting their roadway rehabilitation project in Dayton later this year. I think I want to say Q3, Q4 of this year. I don't know at what phase the light's gonna go in, but I think probably next year is a good
During that time limit.
Yeah,
It makes sense to do
sometime
that.
in 2027, I would say.
Any other questions? I'll go to public, or do you have something to
I
add?
would. Lisa Nash, senior planner. I would like to add, when you asked about the driveway and going further west, if their tentative parcel map is approved by the planning commission, and that does come in the future, it could be done or addressed with a simple boundary line adjustment, which is a admin process if they need to. So I think they've left some flexibility, particularly with putting the tentative parcel map in place.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any public comment on this item? Seeing none in the room or none online? I'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
Looks like there is one hand.
One hand, where?
It's a phone number.
Get ready to shut it off if it's wrong. Phone number 1-702-381-4295.
Good morning. My name is Matthew Winterhawk for the record. Chair and Commissioners, I'm speaking today in opposition of the conditional use permit, and I want to be clear that I'm doing so on behalf of the opposition testimonies that have already been entered into the record. With each resident, they spoke individually. The concerns raised were consistent, specific, and grounded in their lived experience inside of Dayton. of 15,000 residents, if I'm not mistaken. So first, traffic and safety are brought up, which, was obviously gone over. So 6 Mile Canyon and Highway 50 are already dangerous with accidents, congestion, and limited visibility. Adding a high volume truck stop would increase that heavy traffic, turning movements, and nighttime risk in an area that's not designed for it. These concerns came from people who use that intersection daily, not hypothetical situations. Second, land use compatibility. This is not a commercial corridor. It is a residential and rural area where families, retirees intentionally chose to live. And a 24-hour truck stop fundamentally changes the character of that area in a way that cannot be undone once approved. Third, the noise, the light, and quality of life impacts. Residents raised concerns about continuous truck idling, backup alarms, engine braking, and bright overnight lighting. These are not occasional impacts. They are permanent and cumulative, affecting nearby homes day and night. Fourth concern was the community need. Multiple residents have questioned whether or not this project is even necessary, noting that existing Maverick and other fueling stations already exist in this area and they serve the area. The opposition is not about being anti-development. It's that this development in this location is the wrong fit. Finally, precedent. Approving this permit would open the door for similar high-impact uses in areas never intended to support them, leaving future boards and residents with consequences that they did not choose. A conditional use permit exists precisely for situations like this, where a proposal may meet technical requirements, but raises legitimate concerns about the compatibility, safety, and long-term impact. So based on the testimony that you currently already have on the record, I would respectfully urge the board to deny this permit, or at minimum, table it for further study that directly addresses the concerns that were raised. And the reason being is I ask that the voices be weighed as heavily as this application itself, because they have invested their life, their savings, their family, their community in this area. And Dayton, as we know, extremely important, 1849. We know our history. People chose this for a reason. And when they say that they don't want something, they mean it. And I expect that those voices be heard. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comments? Now seeing none online and none in the room, I'll bring it back to the board for a motion. Do you want to make a motion?
I'll move based on the aforementioned findings A through G and the following 21 conditions of approval, I move the Board of County Commissioners approve the request from Stanton Park Development, Inc. for a conditional use permit for Chevron truck stop convenience store on land subject to community commercial CC zoning, generally located in the southwest corner of the intersection of 6 Mile Canyon Road and Highway 50 in Dayton on a 12.41 acre parcel, APN 016-025-38, PLZ -2025-078.
Do I have a second? Second. We got a motion by Commissioner Casanelli, second by Commissioner Jacobson. Those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those against?
Nay.
Motion passes 4-1 with Commissioner Hendricks voting nay.
Thank you, commissioners.
This brings us to 12B for possible action to approve a request from Lucas Homes and Development LLC for the abandonment of public access easements as granted on land map 410284 that includes a 35-foot wide portion of Traditions Center Drive, a 35-foot wide portion of Lakeside Boulevard, a 29-foot wide portion of Town Center Drive, and a 15,616 square foot area from the circle at the intersection of the three easements as shown on the Traditions Commercial Abandonment Exhibit A, located with the Traditions Commercial Subdivision in Dayton, APNs 016-406-19 and 016-406-20, LZ 2025-087. Senior Planner Lisa Nash.
Good morning again, commissioners. Lisa Nash, senior planner. I'm here to bring forward an access easement abandonment application. The site is located north of Highway 50 at Traditions Parkway in Dayton. You can see It's two lots. The larger lot, 40620, is owned by Lucas Homes, and 40619 is owned by Lyon County. You can go to the next slide. We're just jumping right in. This slide shows the original recorded parcel map with the easement as it was. Next slide. And this shows the applicant's exhibit. This is the amendment to the parcel maps that will be filed if the abandonments are approved. The exhibit shows the easements on Tradition's property, and the reason Lyon County's portion is there's a small little portion of the road that extends into that property. As we're cleaning that up, as we make the move forward with development on the government center, we'll also be coming forward with an abandonment of a square of dedicated property that'll probably come next month or later this month. So you can see highlighted in yellow the abandonment that's being requested, and you can see surrounding, there's a square now instead of a larger circle, and where the roads are with the new easements. We can go to the next slide. So this is the draft final commercial subdivision map that is under review currently, and I wanted to include this so you could see exactly where the new easements are located. It is in the final review stages for the commercial subdivision map that will locate the roadways and easements. The roadways are already in, by the way, so this project's a little, I'll admit, wonky that way. But we're cleaning up the mapping again. You can see that portions of Tradition Center Drive, Lakeside Boulevard, and Town Center Drive, as well as that area of the circle of the three easements, are being replaced what's shown on this map. And the nice thing is this map will match the as-built because we're basing it on that. So I am here if you have any questions. The applicant is online if you have any questions for them, but this one's pretty simple.
Any questions from the board? Any public comment? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
Chair, based on the aforementioned findings and the two following conditions, I move that the Board of County Commissioners approves a request from Lucas Homes and Development LLC for the abandonment of public access easements is granted on land map 410284 that include a 35-foot wide portion of Tradition Center Drive, a 35-foot wide portion of Lakeside Boulevard, a 29-foot wide portion of Town Center Drive, and a 15,616 square foot area for the circle at the intersection of the three easements as shown on Tradition's commercial abandonment Exhibit A, located within the Tradition's commercial subdivision in Dayton, APN 016-406-19 and 016-406-20 PLZ 2025-087.
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Jacobson, seconded by Commissioner Hockaday. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody against? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you, Commissioner.
It is 9:53, and I'm going to take this time to take a 10-minute recess. Well, it's 10:03, we're back in session. Brings us to 12C for possible action to approve the request from Winston FC Solar LLC for a planned unit development for the Winston Solar Project. The project consists of a 400 megawatt photovoltaic solar energy facility with approximately 780,000 solar panels, a battery energy storage system, an electrical substation, high voltage power lines, and an operations and maintenance building on 11 parcels totaling approximately 2,374 acres in Mason Valley, subject to heavy industrial, suburban, and rural residential, 20-acre minimum, RR20, zoning APNs 014091 through 13, 15, 16, 17, 22, 014201, 14, 17, 18, 32, 33, 35, PLZ 2025 084, Senior Planner Louis Carriola.
Thank you for the introduction, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Commissioners.
So the subject parcels are located in Mason Valley. We see a vicinity map here on the left showing the general location of the properties. Approximately 8 miles north of Yerington and 20 miles south of Silver Springs. On the right, we can see that all of the subject parcels in the entire project area is east of Highway 95A. There are 11 subject parcels, however, on the southeast corner or southwest corner, I apologize. There's only portions of those parcels included in the project area. This image was provided by the applicant and shows their total project area of approximately 2,374 acres. However, those yellow areas depict portions of their project area that had been previously approved for a conditional use permit for a solar array project. Now, portions of that project approved in 2022 were lost to NV Energy's ongoing Walker River substation expansion program or project, excuse me, as well as area for high voltage power lines. The existing conditions on the site include areas used for the growing of alfalfa and raising of livestock, and the site is traversed by irrigation ditches under the authority of the Walker River Irrigation Ditch Company. District, I apologize. Getting into the master plan designations, on the left, we can see the entire project area and this entire region of Mason Valley. It's within the rural character district. These areas are typified by the lack of public utilities for water and sewer, and that is the case here. The master plan designations include both agriculture and industrial. We'll note that the agriculture designation is on the southern end of the project area, with the industrial designation up along that Union Pacific rail line that traverses Highway 95A. It's also notable that to the east of the project area is a very large parcel on the order of 12,000 acres owned by Nevada Fish and Game. The zoning that's applicable to the project area includes rural residential 20-acre minimum, as well as heavy industrial zoning. Again, we will note that the industrial zoning is at the north and the residential zoning is the southern side of the project area. So the applicant will have extensive presentations, I'm expecting, as they do have a number of representatives here, but staff will run through the bullet points of the project and touch here on in the presentation on items that are raised in the staff report itself. So the main portion of this project, the primary use, is a 400 megawatt photovoltaic solar array per Lyon County code and the code sections that apply to the development standards for such a project. They are referred to as solar energy conversion systems. I'll just call them solar arrays moving forward. The solar array project would include, as read into the record with the description, approximately 780,000 solar panels, as well as a battery energy storage system, referred to as BESS moving forward, an electrical substation necessary for all these projects to connect also through high voltage power lines, including the project, to the Walker River substation and the larger Nevada energy infrastructure. The project area also includes a proposed operations and maintenance building. The proposed construction timeline is between 18 and 24 months, with the applicant's estimates being that the construction phase would employ between 350 and 450 personnel, particularly addressing in their report a peak construction season of 6 months, although it is important to note that none of these details can be necessarily confirmed. They are just estimates. The operation, however, would not in and of itself employ nearly that number of people, with an estimate of only about 12 people. This site plan, again, provided by the applicant, included as an attachment in the report, and certainly outlined within the planned unit development document and site plans included as attachments. This one shows the location of the solar arrays. As you might imagine, the majority of the area within the project is for the solar arrays. And then we can see the generalized location south of the rail line, east of the highway, and north of Sierra Way for the battery energy storage system and the operations and maintenance building. So that's that northern section of the project that is south of the rail line. And again, the applicant can answer details about their proposed project if you have further questions. In the presentation and the staff report, we've included images showing examples of the types of uses proposed. I'm fairly sure we recognize what these would look like. We have seen them in the region. So these are the proposed type of solar panels that would be used in the project. This is an example of a battery energy storage system. So we can see a man scale on the left there, and then the general layout for these systems. While the applicant can provide more details, it's important to note that these battery energy storage systems and backup systems are necessary components for these types of projects so that in the event of power outages that everything can maintain. This is an example of an electrical substation, again, provided by the applicant, and we do see some humans for scale in the front there. So these are quite large. And the operations and maintenance building, fairly standard, again, just a metal building, roll-up doors, and would be used not just for personnel, but for the storage of maintenance equipment. Everything is proposed to be secure. So we'll jump right into the findings and staff recommendations now. I've called to attention in this slide finding B, which was the basis for some of staff's, or largely the basis for staff's recommendation. I've highlighted at the bottom some of the language from finding B taken from chapter 15349.10 of Lyon County Code. This code section includes the findings for a planned unit development. Planned unit developments, as I'm sure the board is aware, are typically used for residential type projects, maybe residential and industrial. In this case, the applicant is elected to pursue a planned unit development because while the two zoning districts of heavy industrial and RR20 would permit the individual uses through a conditional use permit, a planned unit development alternatively provides a means of proposing their own development standards. In other words, a conditional use permit would require compliance with the individual code sections for each of the different project components. That would be the battery energy storage system and the solar array prominently. In this case, going through the planned unit development process, one is able to propose their own development standards, and then the board has the approval to approve those standards. Finding B, as aforementioned, I'm going to read some of the underlying text into the record because, again, it is the foundation of staff's recommendation. The extent to which the plan departs from zoning regulations otherwise applicable to the property are or not deemed to be in the public interest. This code section does prominently mention that deviations from code should be determined to be in the public interest. So without going through all of the findings, I am going to focus on finding A and then move into finding B. In finding A, the applicant has demonstrated through quoted policies from the 2020 master plan adopted in December of 2021 by the Board of Commissioners that this project would provide a diverse economic base. It would demonstrate business and industry locations that are consistent with the master plan. And I'll touch on that in the next slide. It would encourage more resource sensitive growth and sustainable design. So it is recognized that a solar project in and of itself would not necessarily compromise dark skies. It is a renewable energy source. It does not necessarily compromise the quality of air. So the policies quoted and the information provided by the applicant for finding A are found to be consistent, and staff can support their statements. Part of the reason, or if not the largest reason, for staff's concurrence is the generalized location of the project relative to the 2020 master plans map for the BLM above ground corridors. So these corridors shown here in a slide with the general project location circled. These corridors include areas where Lyon County Code does not require a conditional use permit for high voltage power lines. They also directly connect to Nevada Energy's statewide Nevada Greenlink project. This project includes high voltage power lines. It will connect northern and southern Nevada, with much of the transmission running through public lands to the east. And the Walker River substation project is actually a hub. It's a connection for Greenlink North and Greenlink West. So the location of the project adjacent to the high voltage power lines, which could connect potentially the energy generated by the solar array to the larger grid, is appropriate. I won't again go into details that the applicant can provide more regarding, but this is an image from the visual impact study included as an attachment in the report, where we can see the solar array on the bottom picture sort of projected onto the topography of the existing fields. It is important to note that while these are just visual simulations, that the flat topography of the generalized project area does not provide much shielding of these structures. However, we can also recognize that they are not terribly high. I will let them speak to the total height. I think we're at
Average.
7.5. Yeah. Sorry for that. I was going to say a number that was taller, so I wanted to make sure I was fair. Per the applicant, the average height would be about 7.5 feet. So getting into the next couple slides, we're going to discuss setbacks for the solar array. As demonstrated through staff report and analysis, the setbacks are a region of an area of concern for staff in trying to review and assess this planned unit development. This image is depicting the entire solar array setback area, and then the next couple slides will zoom in to specific areas. So to begin, the Board of County Commissioners in June 18, 2025 did adopt brand new codes for renewable energy systems. So that would be wind and geothermal and solar arrays, the previously mentioned SECS array. The setbacks included in this newly adopted code section include the quoted one, well, the ones highlighted, and I'll read those into the record. The solar array must be set a minimum of 1/2 mile, that's 2,640 feet, from a trail, easement, highway, and or adjacent properties with existing residential use. The solar array may be placed closer than 2,650 feet from a property with an existing residential use, trail, easement, or highway if it is separated by a geologic feature or building of a height sufficient to completely obstruct views of the commercial array from a point 16 vertical feet above the boundary of any residential zoning district. The final text on this slide, while not highlighted, is the allowance provided to the board and the applicants. So the board has the authority. The Board of Commissioners may, at their sole discretion, approve setbacks that are less than the setbacks outlined in this chapter if the project is part of a planned unit development. So that's why we're looking at a planned unit development today. The proposed setbacks for a section along Highway 95A to the east of 95A, both north and south of Sierra Way, which provides primary access to the property, to the project, is 300 feet. So this is obviously a serious deviation from Lyon County Code, the standard being 2,640 feet. It's essentially an 88% reduction in the stated setback. To the south end of the project area, there is a proposed 50-foot setback from a residentially zoned property. And then at the southeast, or the south, I suppose, is another 50 feet of setback from a residentially used property. And there is no geologic feature proposed. I do want to point out again that the plan unit development allows for flexibility of design, but this is quite a deviation. The proposed mitigation along Highway 95A is a landscape strip. This is just one image that's been sort of cropped for convenience to demonstrate what's proposed. The actual species, I think, could probably be a topic for a later discussion. Staff would be reviewing any potential development plans through an administrative design review were a final PUD to be approved. So that's when we could discuss items like plant species and what would be appropriate for the region and for the proposed screening. Section 2 of the plan unit development includes table 1. Table 1 outlines the suggested rationale for the deviation from Lyon County Development Code standards. The table prominently mentions that for the solar array, the 300-foot setback proposed is in order to achieve operational and production efficiencies and financial feasibilities. Staff's not able to find that rationale to be in the public interest, and financial feasibility being stated as a primary reason for deviation from county standards would be something that would not be supported were one to propose it through a CUP, conditional use permit, and variance process. However, again, it is allowable through a PUD. The battery energy storage system, the best standards are 1 mile, not half a mile, as stated in that table. That said, I do believe the actual location of the battery energy storage system is about a mile from the highway. So staff doesn't necessarily have a lot of heartburn with that topic. Although there is language in the rationale section for a reduction in some of the battery energy storage system setbacks. And part of it includes the highlighted language on the right. The best will be positioned so the substation acts as a natural barrier, minimizing visual and operational impacts. If we recall that code section earlier, there's supposed to be topographical features, not necessarily a different component of the same project. So staff did not find the rationale of utilizing a substation as a visual barrier to be in the public interest. Touching on the second topic that featured prominently in staff's review, other than the setbacks, was the traffic impact study. The aforementioned renewable energy ordinance adopted by the board in summer of 25 requires that applicants submit traffic impact studies for both the operational phase of a project, which in this case we recall being 12 in place, and the construction phase of a project. That's notable because if we recall, this project's proposed construction timeline is 18 to 24 months with 350 to 450 personnel. The board and the public are aware of ongoing projects in this region that all utilize Highway 95A. Highway 95A connecting Yerington and Silver Springs is 1 lane in each direction. Staff did not find traffic impact study in the initial submittal that didn't find a traffic impact study in their submittal that had been reviewed by NDOT. NDOT had also not reviewed the scope of the study. So the applicant had submitted their planned unit development application on October 20, 2025. 3 days later, staff issued an incomplete application based on the fact that incomplete application determination, based on the fact that the TIS had not been reviewed or approved by NDOT. The applicant does have their own timelines, and I'm sure they'll touch on in their presentation, and did press us to bring this item to public hearing. So a predominantly complete determination was issued on November 17th, 2025. That predominantly complete application was based on the fact that the traffic impact study had not yet been approved by NDOT. But we agreed to move forward, and on December 13th, we took that the item to the planning commission. I'll touch on the results of that later on. So this is just a quick image from the original traffic impact study submitted on October 20th. And again, it did not have any NDOT approvals associated with it. The applicant requested a waiver from NDOT for Lyon County's requirement for a traffic impact study, and NDOT flatly denied that request. We do have a letter sent to us by NDOT dated November 21, 2025, insisting that the applicant provide a traffic impact study in accordance with their standard protocol of having the scope first approved by NDOT and then submitted to the county. There is still the outstanding step of NDOT review of the new traffic study that was submitted to us on December 19th, 2025. So per the applicant, NDOT did approve the scope of this project, but has not yet provided Lyon County with any review comments. The notable changes are mentioned in the staff report, but most prominently, the intersections just south or part of Silver Springs at Highway 50 and Ramsey Canyon, and then again Ramsey Canyon and US 95A were included in this new scope. They were not included in the original TIS that was submitted to us with their first application.
So could you just touch a little bit, and maybe Mr. Haskell will have to help out too, but can you touch on the timeline of where we were at throughout this process with the traffic impact study, when it was notified to them, just a basic timeline? And am I understanding the information correct that it was submitted on December 19th to NDOT?
Correct. The traffic impact study was submitted to NDOT, I believe, on the 19th when we got notification. Staff notified the applicant back in June of last year that the traffic impact study was going to be required. When they submitted their PUD application, and staff issued the letter of incompleteness to the applicant had reached out to me and to Director Henderson and asked if we would allow that to move forward while they immediately submitted their traffic impact study to NDOT. Instead, they chose to seek a waiver through that process and not submitted until the 19th of December. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Good for the next slide. Thank you. So per staff's review of the setbacks and the fact that the TIS not yet been at the time of the planning commission on December 13th submitted to NDOT or even had the scope approved by NDOT. Staff recommended denial to the planning commission. The staff report submitted to the board likewise carries that same recommendation of denial. Staff is unable to endorse an 88% reduction in the setback or finding it's public interest. So that has not changed. The staff report includes some language added to the findings for a planned unit development from 15-349 that are underlined here and it's shown in bold to demonstrate the particularity of the reasoning for why staff's recommendation is of denial if the board chose to read those into the record as part of that type of motion. There are alternative motions proposed. And the planning, I'm sorry, I should step back a moment here. The planning commission did hear the item on December 13, 2025, and voted 6-1 to forward a recommendation of approval. The applicant's presentation touching on their commitment to improvements at Sierra Way and Highway 95A, the main access to the property, seem to feature prominently in the planning commission's vote. Again, I'll rely on the applicant to provide more details of their commitments to improvements for traffic mitigation. But the planning commission again did vote to forward a recommendation of approval to the board. This language on the slide included some items that were read into the record as part of the planning commission motion. They touch on, of course, the aforementioned NDOT TIS sort of timeline that had yet to be fully executed, still hasn't been fully executed. Essentially, the applicant would be agreeing to NDOT and the county's review of proposed mitigation measures. The planning commission's motion also touched upon, and I'll read number 3, the PUD shall include rationale and justification for any deviation from standards that the county will consider adequate and appropriate. I'll fully admit that language is fairly subjective, and the recommended motion that's included in the staff report to the board has omitted number 3. It does still mention the issues with NDOT and the TIS. In addition, the planning commission motion to approve does mention that the Walker River Irrigation District should still maintain their authority over the ditches that run through the project area. And to be fair to the applicant, Walker River Irrigation District did provide comments after the staff report had been completed. So we would be able to incorporate some assurances for WRID into a final PUD. The other motion available to the board, of course, is a continuance or to table the item. There is some language again included in the staff report recommended for how to potentially go about that, keying on the lack of NDOT review at this stage. With that, I apologize. Again, I did find that there was a typo in your staff report. The alternative motion for approval was essentially a remnant from the planning commission who makes a recommendation. You would not be recommending approval to yourself. So the proper motion would be to approve yourself. And of course, available for questions and expect the applicants have a number of presenters as well.
Do you have any questions at this time? Seeing none, I introduced this item and I introduced Senior Planner Lewis Carriola at the same time, and so he already started talking, but I wanted to, just for my own purpose, I wanted to see if everybody, I saw a lot of people attend the planning commission, and I didn't know if everybody on this board's already attended or watched that.
I did, yes.
You did?
I did too.
So with that being said, we've already seen your presentation, so you don't have to extend it too far. I was just, because it was lengthy at the planning commission. And I do want to tell the board, if you need to use the restroom or anything like that, we can certainly take a break as long as not all 5 of us go at one time, so that you're not pressured sitting here like the planning commission had to do for about a half hour.
We're happy.
And Chair Keller, just appreciate your comments, but I know there's a bunch of public here today for this, so if they want to go through the entire thing, I have no problem with that either. And I'm sure you don't, but don't cheat yourself.
Yeah, I expect you to go through the whole thing, but I was just saying that we've already heard it once, so.
Well, good morning, Chair Scott Whittemore for the record. I just want to be sensitive, or we're fine if you'd like to take a short break, if that's been requested, or if you'd like us to just go ahead and launch.
No,
Okay.
Go ahead and go. It's just that during the process, if someone says something, we will take a break.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, good morning, Mr. Chair. Again, Scott Whittemore for the record with Energy Project Solutions on behalf of the project applicant, Winston Energy. So we do have a presentation here today, and if thank you so much. We can get it up on the screen. Certainly, the goal is to be efficient but thorough. I want to start by just recognizing it's Monday morning after a long holiday. Appreciate the opportunity to be heard. Appreciate the opportunity to walk through this. This is $1 billion investment in Lyon County. We want to answer every single question. We want to answer every single concern that's been raised. We certainly have endeavored to do that throughout the life of this project. I think this might be the 5th public meeting associated with this project, including a town hall. We certainly welcome transparency and an opportunity for everyone to be heard. If we can go to the next slide. Thank you so much. So I'm just going to introduce quickly the project team presenters. So Devin Mudo's here, Vice President of Development with EDF Power Solutions. Myself, Scott Whittemore. Sriram Bala is a Senior Project Manager at CA Group. The project team also includes David Calderon from EDF, Antonio Lopez from EPS, Matt Morris is here from Holland and Hart, Sherry Brown from ICF, James Caulfield from Fire Risk Alliance. These folks are all available for comment or questions. We go to the next slide. Before I turn it over to Devin, I do just want to just quickly touch on the traffic impact study and that process and what we heard from staff and how we went back and forth. I do not want the impression, it's so important from the outset, the amount of coordination with NDOT to date has been substantial. It has not been zero. This is a moving target from NDOT as cumulative impacts of multiple projects are plugged in. And it's so important for this community to get it right. We are sensitive to that. We recognize Tahoe Reno Industrial Center and the traffic issues that that's created. No one wants to do that here. We are in direct coordination with the Lux project, the Monarch Data Center project. And the goal is to take NDOT's input and make sure that we have everything included in our traffic impact study. The original traffic impact study that we submitted was full. It was intended to go to NDOT. The reason that changed is when we did our scoping meeting with NDOT, they came back with new intersections 25 miles away that were unanticipated. When we requested the waiver, it was to recognize we're going to do the improvements. We will participate in cumulative impact improvements. We had already made a commitment publicly, $2 million to Sierra Way, left-hand turn southbound and a right-hand turn northbound. So when we requested the waiver, it came with our conceptual design and a commitment of $2 million at that intersection. It was never intended to circumnavigate the process. It was intended to say, we're already going to do the improvements. Does that satisfy you? They said, no, we want a full TIS. We want to walk through it all. We said, fine, we'll submit it. That was the only delay or change in the timetable. It was not to go around the process. So you're going to hear a little bit more on that today. So with that, I'll turn it over to Devin, but the goal here is to answer all questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Chair and Commissioners. Devin Mudo, Vice President of EDF Power Solutions. The Winston FC is a project company of EDF Power Solutions, so that's why I'm here talking to you today, and I wanted to thank you for your time. And I also want to really thank staff for all the time and effort they put into this project. We really appreciate the amount of coordination we've had with them, and we're expecting to continue to have a lot of coordination with them and with yourselves and with the community as we move forward with this project. EDF Power Solutions is one of the largest independent power producers in North America. We've been around for almost 40 years, developed a number of projects throughout North America. And we have, a significant amount of employment here in North America, operating projects that we take lessons learned from, and we're continuing to stay active throughout all the states here. So if you can go to the next slide. Our projects have significant benefits. They produce clean energy for our grid, which is sorely needed as we continue to grow and expand our manufacturing, our communities, our businesses. Our projects put back significant amounts of money into communities through payments to vendors, through payments to landowners, and we generate a significant amount of employment through the construction of our projects and their operations. Go to the next slide. So within the Western, yes, let's go back. Sure.
So that 102,750, is that on this project alone, or is that overall your project?
That's overall for all of our projects.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say. We got different information earlier.
Yeah. Yes. Because
I'm more worried about Lyon County, so I understand your size.
Yeah, peak construction employment is projected to be about 350 personnel on the site. And as was mentioned, operationally, we're around 12 employees at the site, and will likely be a few less than that because we also have some remote employees, but that's what we're projecting. All right, so Western region, that's actually the region that I oversee as Vice President of EDF. We have a number of projects that we've been engaged in Nevada. We have operating projects here, our Switch and Arrow Canyon projects down in Southern Nevada. We also have a number of recently completed and constructed and operational projects throughout the West, which I've listed here as well. And we pull from all of these lessons learned to apply them to our projects in the future. I'm really proud of what we've done with these projects, the relationships that we built with the communities, and you see a lot of kind of repeat communities here. And that's kind of a testament to our ability to work with the communities, be sensitive to them, and for them to then invite us back to construct additional projects in those areas. And we like to be doing the same with Lyon, is having a longstanding relationship with you where we are a resident, a partner, a member of the community here. And so that's why we've been engaged with talking with you and staff for several years about this project and want to continue to do so as we progress development of it. Slide. I'm not going to dwell on this too much. Lewis hit really well on the project, and we're happy to go into more details about it. But I do want to point out that, as was mentioned, originally we had a CUP that was permitted for this project at about 1,700 acres. We lost land from that CUP because of Nevada Energy's project. And essentially what we're doing is now increasing that to 2,300 acres to allow for the full build out of our project. We're going to talk a little about the setbacks today. If the setbacks are at their full amount, the 1 mile or the half mile, we lose a significant amount of land out of the area that we've been working on and planning. What happened there is that then we have to decrease the size of our project. So that's essentially what it is in a nutshell. And that's what we're here today, is to hopefully get your input on what our setbacks can be so that we can define what the size of our project will be. Obviously, we'd like to build the full 400 megawatts. We can go to the next one. As I mentioned, we've been working on this project for a number of years. Started back in 2017. I was here in 2022, presenting to the Planning Commission when we got original CUP for the original land on the Morose property. We have interconnection agreements that have been executed with Nevada Energy that allows us to inject our power into the grid. That's where the 400 megawatts is coming from. We didn't just come up with that number. We actually have agreements to allow us to inject that much energy into the grid. And it makes sense for us to be able to fill the commitment because that's what's available there. We've done a number of studies to progress our understanding of the project site, what we can build there, what we can construct. And we now have offtake. So we have a power purchase agreement ahead of us, and we're ready to move forward with this project and bring it forward for the county. As I mentioned, we've been heavily engaged with the community. Around the 2022 CUP approval, there was a number of meetings. We didn't list them all here, but we did do a lot of engagement with the community at that time, and obviously had the public hearings. Then ramping up to the hearing that we have today, we did a number of meetings within the 2025 year, as is listed here. The neighborhood outreach has been extensive, and we want to continue to be open to neighbor input, continue to do project refinement. And obviously, if you have any input on the project or staff has input on the project, we want to continue to receive that and be responsive to that as we proceed. As for the timing, so we're not expecting this project to be operational until the end of 2028 or even into 2029. But that process takes us a long time to get there. We have to go through a number of steps. And it's not quick, as Scott mentioned, it's $1 billion project. And so we need to do all the steps of design, procuring equipment, things like that to get us to the point where we can actually deliver this project to the milestones that are under our agreements. That's why we're here today, and that's why we're asking for your input on the project today, because we need to get all these things started in order to meet these contractual milestones within our agreements. You can go to the next slide. So this is just going into a little more detail about what we're facing right now and why we are at a critical point in this project to get the input from yourselves. We have a power purchase agreement ahead of us. We need to initiate our engineering design. In order to initiate our engineering design, we need to define our project boundaries. That's why we need to get input on the setbacks and what our constraints are going to be on our property. What comes with this also is that we're trying to design around a number of influencing factors into our design. We've been asked for additional land by NBE for more transmission lines to come in and out of the substation. The Walker River Irrigation District has asked us to perfect easements and rights that they have along their canals. And so we need to understand how much room we have to work with them. And we've also been asked by the Monarch Data Center and other entities around here to have different access points across our property. And so we need to understand what our bounds are on setbacks so that we know how much land we can offer up to entities like Monarch Data Center and anybody else. And then obviously, as I mentioned, this is a very big project. We have to go out and procure a lot of equipment. We have to get panels. We have to get main power transformers. We have to get the batteries. Those are not quick procurement items, so we need a lot of time ahead of that. So we need to design the project, then we start procuring, then we go into construction. And that's why we need to start now. I want to hit a little bit on the revenues that we're expected to generate for the county. Over the initial 20 years of the project, we're projected to generate $85 million for the county. And this comes from the Northern Nevada Development Authority. They did the study, the economic study for us and provided us with these numbers. This project is projected to have a 40-year lifespan. And so over the 40-year lifespan, the revenues are projected to be $139 million for the county. And it's notable that there's a significant amount of those revenues that actually come within the first couple of years to the county and actually directly to the school district. And that's through the sales tax that is associated with our equipment procurement. So as we buy all this equipment for the project, those deliveries come to the county, they're received from the county, and then the sales tax gets paid to the county. The majority of it is funneled to the school district, so the county general fund isn't going to see as much at the beginning, but there will be property taxes that will go directly to the county as well. I should mention that this is based on the full size of the project. So as I mentioned, if the setbacks are at their full amount, we cannot build the full size of the project. These revenues do get decreased because of that. All right, I think that covers mine. I'll hand it back over to Scott.
Great. Good morning. Again, for the record, Scott Whittemore, and I do appreciate, Chair, your comments. We're trying to be as efficient as possible, but cover the presentation here. So as we discussed, this is a $1 billion investment. It's a 400 megawatt power plant in Northern Nevada. Quickly on this issue, this community is talking about data centers. This community is talking about a GID. This community is talking about a power shortage. NV Energy is no doubt in a power crisis. They've got 21 gigawatts of data center demand. Our total peak load is something like 9 gigawatts on the entire system. So you can imagine how significant this is. NV Energy needs every single project they can get put onto the grid. Importantly, there was a map that showed the Bureau of Land Management and the overlays. This community has talked a lot about those projects. We followed the solar ordinance process very closely. We understand there's a lot of heartburn around the BLM projects. No part of this project is on BLM land. There's not a nexus to the Bureau of Land Management. This is all private land. So I think that's just really important as you talk about those two maps. What's in it for Lyon County quickly? Devin talked about the economic benefits, but I just want to highlight that orange period where the sales tax revenue goes directly to the school district. That's based off of the bill of lading directly to the county. So when equipment delivers to Lyon County, that sales tax starts to immediately accrue. And 25 million is the portion that accrues to the Lyon County school district. It's very significant. And again, that's at the front end of the project. I'll keep going. You've seen the slide there. So importantly, and again, Devin, thanks staff. We want to thank staff. This is a complex project, and PUDs are complex, applications. We recognize staff has done a tremendous job being very thorough. So Lewis, Lisa, Gavin, Andrew, we want to thank everybody. We've got some disagreements with some of the conclusions they've made, but we think they've done a thorough job. So staff's recommendation for denial is based on 2 unresolved issues. The issues were addressed at the Planning Commission. It was a 2.5-hour meeting. Greatly appreciate those of you who attended. So the traffic impact study. An NDOT approved TIS requires several months of coordination, which we started months ago. It's been a bit of a moving ball on their end, or a moving goalpost, whatever analogy you want to use. We did get an approved scope, so that's really important. We agree on what needs to be studied. We've studied it. It's been submitted. Quickly, we remain committed to making improvements. We listened to this community. We held a number of informal briefings. We heard directly from commissioners. We heard directly from town hall participants. Commissioner Hockaday was there. Thank you very much for attending that town hall. Traffic was the number one issue that people wanted to talk about. And what people asked for was a right-hand turn lane going northbound on 95 at Sierra Way and a left-hand turn going southbound. We agreed. We've been saying this since the beginning. We've been telling the county, we've been telling staff. It's part of the condition that we agreed to make those improvements. We believe conceptually it's going to be about $2 million. The project is willing to fund 100% of that, even though the benefit is likely to be others like Monarch. NV Energy is going to benefit as they build out that full substation. Setbacks we're gonna cover in detail, so we can go to the next slide, please. This is really important, and Lewis touched on it just briefly. Through that extensive meeting, and I want to commend the Planning Commission, who did a very thorough job. They listened, and again, it's a long back and forth, and there was lots of good involvement. These are the conditions that they put on our approval, and we agree in full. The applicant shall provide and comply with review comments from NDOT and include those in the final PUD. We agree. The applicant agrees to meet the standards of NDOT and the county's review comments of the TIS and shall be included in the final PUD. We agree. The PUD shall include rationale and justification from any deviation from the standards the county would consider adequate and appropriate. We agree. The final PUD application and PUD shall reflect the Walker River Irrigation District comments and standards. We agree. Traffic control plan and necessary NDOT permits. Prior to initiation of project construction, the applicant shall submit and obtain approval from NDOT the detailed travel control plan. The TCP may include signage, flagging, public notification procedures, and other measures as approved by NDOT. Prior to initiation of the project construction, the applicant shall obtain all necessary right-of-way occupancy and encroachment permits as required by NDOT. Not one part of that would allow us to circumnavigate any of the NDOT process. We have to comply with NDOT. We will comply with NDOT. Quickly, construction trip characteristics. Sri Ram is here from CA Group. He's going to walk through what that looks like. As Devin talked about, 350 workers are expected to be on site at peak. Rideshare is very common among laborers. You can see kind of how the workforce over the period changes. So you're going to have the site preparation. The actual module installation is that peak period of 350 trips. And then you see how it ebbs and flows over the project. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Sri Ram, again, trying to be efficient. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott and Devin. And thank you, commissioners, for allowing me to be a part of this presentation. So we just want to touch on the history. I know I heard some concerns from the commissioners regarding the history of the TIS itself. We just started way back in the 10th of October. And I just wanted to emphasize, like, the last three bullets are probably critical for the conversation today. I did go in detail about all the, each one of the individual bullets during our planning commission. A lot of you have heard about it. But in the interest of time, I'm just going to hit on the bottom three. We met with NDOT staff and the county staff to just kind of understand the atypical nature of the request that NDOT had made in trying to analyze or requesting us to analyze two intersections that are 25 miles away. Part of the reason for the delay in the whole process was because it is very typical when you do a TIS for any planned improvements, happens within 2 miles of the project area. And when we reached out to NDOT back in 10th of November for the scope, they did throw two curveballs at us. One was just obviously having us include two intersections that are like several miles away, 25 miles away on Ramsey weeks. And the other one is they wanted us, like, understanding from county, all the improvements that are happening, they wanted us to review the cumulative impact of the three projects, which wasn't something we were anticipating. We were anticipating to do analysis for what Winston Energy traffic, construction traffic is going to bring in and impact the traffic. So there was some back and forth. And again, I think Scott stole a lot of my thunder, but I'm going to repeat one thing here is the
reason for the waiver was not to circumnavigate the process. It is just to, in the interest of time for the planning commission meeting, we wanted that approval from NDOT. So we went ahead, requested for a waiver for the TIS. That waiver was just not a standard waiver letter. It did have the analysis of the traffic impact from Winston Energy included in there. And like he said, a layout of the intersection improvements at 95 and Sierra Way, along with a commitment of like $2 million to make improvements that the Winston Energy is going to require as part of a mitigation for the added traffic that the project was going to put on 95A.
Questions, Commissioner, Jacobson. Commissioner Hendricks.
When you decided to submit for the waiver instead, did you make staff aware of that?
The waiver did. I think we had provided, I'm not 100% sure because I think David and Scott were handling the communication. I'm not 100% sure if.
Because I know they thought you were moving forward with what you had initially agreed to do. And I believe they were pretty surprised when they found out that you'd applied for a waiver instead.
So that could be mainly, I'm just going to let him answer in a minute. But then before that, if I could touch on, county had provided a letter on the 23rd in response to our initial traffic study that we had submitted to them. What they said is go deal with NDOT, meaning just get a TIS done from NDOT. So I don't know if we submitted to them, but there might have been some miscommunication. We're going to deal with NDOT, and whatever the results that we are going to get from them, we're going to report back to the county. That could have been possibly that there could have been some miscommunication there, but that is exactly what happened. It's like they on 23rd told us reach out to NDOT and get the TIS approved from them.
Commissioner Jackson. I like the project, but I struggle. You were notified, from what I understand, in June. You knew the traffic impact study. All of a sudden, the planning commission gives you this. We see a denial. Now all of a sudden we can do the traffic impact study on December 19th. Several months to get it done. Submit it in June. That's 7 months ago. It feels like we're trying to circumvent something here, and I'm not going to be part of setting a precedent for other people coming in and saying, well, they didn't have to do it, so we don't have to do it. And I struggle with this whole timeline thing. It's beyond my belief, because this is not the first traffic impact study we've had companies do.
Commissioner, thank you. If I may address that.
Yeah, and then I just want to make a quick comment. If anybody on the board needs to say something, just speak up, because I'm paying attention to what my slide is in front of me, so I might not catch it. So just speak up and go ahead.
Yeah, Scott Whittemore for the record, and understand the consternation. Truly, this in informal meetings, traffic was the #1 concern. We heard it loud and clear. The timeline, sir, if I may, from June, the exact note. The traffic impact study will be required for the construction phase for CUPs and or PUDs for new commercial solar fields. That was the note from the June meeting. Everyone knows it's law. You have to have NDOT approval to use a road. What was a surprise was on October 23rd, the letter to us saying you have to have it approved from NDOT. Not that you have to have it processed, not that you have to have it submitted. We know we have to submit the NDOT TIS, but that it had to be approved as part of the application. What the conditions from the Planning Commission is, in order for us to move forward, we have to provide you a final TIS. It has to be approved by NDOT. So what we're trying to do is include that approval baked into an approval as a condition. That's exactly what we agreed to with the Planning Commission, is that we can't move forward without it. So we won't be able to get building permits. We won't be able to move forward with construction. We have to have an NDOT TIS. We also suggested to the Planning Commission and to staff, we will bring it back here. We will bring an approved NDOT TIS and present it and allow full discussion on it. But for the timing, this is so important. We submitted a TIS that studied our project. NDOT then came back and said, whoa, we want you to study 3 other projects. That was a shifting scale. The minute we knew that information, we included it in the TIS. The TIS waiver was to say, we understand what you want us to study. Here's the study, but also rather than the process of 6 or 7 months for NDOT to review it, what do you really want are the improvements? And we agreed to those improvements. That was the whole goal. But I'm sensitive. I know there's probably other questions. We're going to get through this quickly. I do want to get to the setbacks if I can.
Yeah, and if it's okay with everybody on the board, this is how the planning commission kind of got drug out because it kept answering questions as they went. I'm going to speak on that same thing that you spoke on, Commissioner Jacobson. So if we can just wait till the end, all of us can have a thing so you can answer it once.
I understand what you're saying, but I do have, on this slide, I have one question real quick.
Yeah.
If we can. It says that you had a follow-up meeting with NDOT on December 31st. Do you have any information from them to submit to us today that came from that meeting?
Yes, Commissioner, we have informally told that they are agreeing with all the assumptions that were made in the report, as well as all the methodology that was used for the TIS itself. And more than likely, we're going to get a response letter next week and possibly an approval within 2 or 3 weeks. So by the time, hopefully next time we meet, for the commission meeting, county commission, we should have the approval.
Quickly, if I may just address a point about staff being unaware. I submitted an email on November 21st, including the waiver to Andrew Haskin, Gavin Henderson, and Lewis, letting them know that this was our plan, what the NDOT coordination was. That's what generated the next meeting. So they were on notice that we applied for a waiver.
What was the date on that?
November 21st.
Andrew Haskin, Lyon County Manager. So that was after it was already allowed to move forward to the planning commission. Typically, we don't move projects forward until we have a complete application. The applicant approached Director Henderson and I and said, we have a deadline from AV Energy. We're prepared to submit the traffic impact study immediately. Please let us move forward to the planning commission. We didn't find out about this waiver thing until later. I take issue with the fact that they're saying that they didn't know that it needed to be approved in June because they said that they were involved with the ordinance process. And I'm going to read right from the ordinance. It says the project shall require 2 separate traffic studies, one traffic study for the construction phase of the project and a second traffic study for the operations and maintenance phase of the project. The study shall be provided at the time of application for the conditional use permit or plan unit development process.
Thank you.
I feel like we're at Scott Whittemore for the record. The facts are important and the timeline's important, and I want to respect everyone's time. The code does not require approval of a TIS. It says it has to be submitted. We learned that it had to be approved as the director of planning instructed us. That's what set this whole thing in motion. That's what we're trying to comply with.
I really don't want to go back and forth, but I'll allow you if you want to, but I don't want this back and forth. So we want to get to the end because I think we've got a lot of comments and it's not going to be one to the other. If we have questions about what you're saying on the screen, we'll do. But I don't want to just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, so I think that back and forth is important. How else are we going to get? I'm not going to make the right decision. So if something is okay, if our county manager wants to get up and set the record straight, I think we should let him. No doubt about it.
Linda, does anybody else have any comment on this particular thing? Because I'll get out what I have to say too. That way we can all address it at once.
I'd like to hear from our county manager, Chair.
But then, okay, go ahead, county manager, and then. So I have comments about the same issue.
Traffic impact study that's not approved by NDOT isn't a traffic impact study. I mean, on a state road. I mean, it's a draft of a document. That's all I'm gonna say on that.
Thank you.
Straight umbrella CA group for the record again. So next slide, please. So some of the methodology that I was just talking about that NDOT has approved right now in reviewing the traffic study that we have submitted is the trip generation, which is 1.4 to 1 for every 1.4 employee. There's going to be one vehicle. So that number is fed into the traffic analysis, and the trip distribution is just something also another critical one is like 70% of the traffic or the construction traffic or the employees getting to the site is expected to come from north, which is the Reno area, and then 30% from the south. And then again, like I did talk about the two new intersections that they had asked us to review. If you could just see the 4 intersections, the total 4, the bottom 2 are the ones that are within a couple of miles of the project area itself. The top 2, US 50 Ramsey and 95A Ramsey, are just way like several miles away from the project. And the other critical item that they had asked us to do, the first bullet for the traffic volume analyzed is the typical one, which is like the existing traffic volume from 2025 projected to 2027, plus what the Winston Energy construction is going to bring, which is what we typically would have analyzed. But what NDOT, working with the county, has asked us to include is the cumulative, which is the Lux project, Monarch Data Center, and our project, all to put together, which is kind of atypical from what we, do the traffic impact studies. Next slide, please. So just to the next 4 slides, I'm just going to give you a quick comparison between what Winston Energy construction traffic is going to bring and what the cumulative traffic is going to bring. So this is again the 4 intersections that are being analyzed. There's tons of numbers there. The ones in the bracket are the PM peak, and then the one to the left of it is AM and different turning movements. This is what is used to come up with what the level of service is going to be for each one of the intersections. So our goal is to just have a level of service D or better. So that means there is not a ton of delays on the road and stuff like that. And this is what is used to recommend mitigations as well at each one of these 4 intersections. So if you were to look at the next slide, please. This is very simple. If you were to take just the Winston Energy traffic impact from the construction, is just the 3 bullets, which the public already had stated during our town hall meeting that they needed, and Winston Energy has already made a commitment to improve these, which is the southbound left turn, northbound right turn, and improvements to Sierra Way itself. So all this is kind of we did some concept level, and we estimated it to be like $2 million, and EDF has already committed to doing these improvements to Sierra 95. Next slide, please. So quickly jumping on, I don't know if anybody just kind of were following the number. It is kind of quadrupled because we're adding 2 more projects, to our analysis, which is the Lux Solar and the Monarch Data Center, along with our Winston Energy project. So this is kind of really substantial, and it is just going to require a lot of mitigation because a ton of volume. This is taken into consideration. All 3 projects are going to have the peak construction happen at the same time, which is not very highly unlikely to happen. Next slide, please. So this is again the 4 intersections. This is for the cumulative. When you put all 3 projects together, it just kind of requires improvements at all 4 intersections that were analyzed. This is just to give you an idea. You saw 2 slides ago, Sierra improvement, which is just considering Winston Energy, is just very simple, improvements to just that intersection. The other 3 intersections are not impacted or does not require any mitigation. But if you just do the cumulative analysis, it just requires improvements at all 4 intersections that were analyzed. Next slide, please. So quickly, I just wanted to highlight 2 items. The one in green, which is the % of construction trips. I just wanted, to use this opportunity to highlight that when we look at the cumulative traffic volume put together, what Winston Energy brings is only 21% of the total, which is Monarch and Lux and Winston Energy put together. So it's only 1/5 of the traffic volume comes from the construction of Winston Energy. And also when the next one is the % of the operation trips. I mean, we did, you guys heard that there's going to be only 12 employees, full-time employees when it's fully operational. So starting from 2028, the impact that Winston Energy project is going to bring is only 1.2% of the overall traffic operation. I mean, from the overall traffic impact to 95A and Sierra Way. So with that, I'd just like to turn it over if there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Next slide, please. Okay, so we're coming to a finish here. The PUD allows for a flexible path. That was what you all debated, or the members, in 2025 that was updated. But the ordinance, there was discussion between a PUD and a CUP, and it was very clearly put on the record that a PUD was the right mechanism to allow this board to have complete flexibility over setbacks. Those setbacks are determined on a case-by-case basis. So that's what a PUD allows for. It allows for a tailored review. What is the purpose of setbacks? Safety, visual screening, compatibility. This staff has already agreed that the project is compatible. That was one of their major findings. Why are the deviations justified? There's significant site constraints. There's the canals, there's the rail line, and we're planning for a 300-foot landscape buffer along the 95. Why do the proposed setbacks make sense? The industrial surrounding of this area is critical to keep in mind. So next slide. So in the staff report, here's the master plan. The staff concludes the PUD application conforms to and supports multiple county policies. Lewis did a great job on that. The project location and compatibility, the staff report confirms the proposed location is appropriate. The minimal resource, staff concludes that the project proposes minimal impacts to water resources and will not require significant water use. That's very important for this community. We're aware of that. Traffic impact study we've covered significantly. But number one takeaway, the applicant is committed to make the improvements on Sierra and 95 and coordinate with the other developments for any other improvements required. Setbacks. Staff is not able to recommend approval of the reduction in setback just for financial feasibility. I'm going to come back and touch on that. But the important thing here is that under the new solar ordinance, the board has the sole discretion to create what the setback standards are. And the county has explicitly designated that the PUD mechanism is a means to address those setbacks. Next slide, please. So just quickly on this, staff said 88% reduction. In some areas, it is an 88% reduction. The overall, what the next couple of slides are going to show, overall, the site complies with the setbacks that are in the solar ordinance code. So importantly, that orange corridor there is the 95 corridor and what the setback would require. It would essentially, most of the project is outside of that orange corridor. There's 400 acres that would be within that corridor. It's about 3/4 of a mile long along 95. Next slide, please. Here are the residential areas or the residential units. Importantly, as part of the backup, there's 67 letters of support, many of which are these homeowners. They are either participating in the project or have agreed to support the project. Those are important letters here. The blue bubbles show you where the extent of the setbacks would be. So even taking in the highway setback and even taking in the residential setback, those are the areas that we're talking about. So I don't want the impression to be that overall the project is asking for an 88% reduction. We're asking for a reduction in certain places. This was the NV Energy Walker River substation that was part of the original CUP that was approved. As this project was shrunk by that project, we added additional land. Next slide, please. The underlying land use, staff did a great job describing this. Most of the project is in industrial, the other part is in agricultural. We'll go to the next slide. The surrounding character, this is important. The area is going to be predominantly industrial. That's why it's been master plan. It's been zoned industrial. There's an existing substation that's getting bigger. It's the largest substation in the United States. There's transmission lines moving in and out of there. Future planned projects include the Lux Solar project and the proposed Monarch Solar project. So the surrounding character, that's why staff was able to make that finding that it conforms with the surrounding character. Next slide, please. So just addressing the setback deviations. This is a 400 megawatt power plant. It's designed to fit into a tight area that has canals, as we talked about. The public interest, PUD flexibility promotes economic viability on private land. Again, this is not a BLM project, which was separately discussed on the solar ordinance. The mitigation that we're proposing, enhanced screening along 95, provides for visual protection. So deviations are not solely for financial reasons, but they are site driven and they're created with balance in mind. You look at the entire character of the surrounding area, that's why we're proposing the setbacks that we are. Next slide, please. So importantly, what is the 95 going to look like? This is a visual simulation of what we're proposing is a significant 300-foot setback, including vegetation. So this vegetation would include native species, shrubs, bushes, grasses. I believe cottonwood trees is similar, on that corridor. We're very open to feedback from staff or this board as to what that buffer would look like. But importantly, on the other side of that buffer is 300 feet. So if I may, I'm just going to step away for a moment. This is the landscape area. And then there's this entire buffer of what we're proposing as grasses and vegetation, natural native grasses and vegetation. But so in total, you're going to have 300 feet from the roadway to the closest panel along that 95 area. Next slide, please. Addressing the traffic concerns and how we're being proactive. Our commitment is $2 million or whatever the commitments that NDOT comes back with, but we believe it's about 1.8 million is what the improvements would require. This was what was discussed, a right-hand turn northbound, a left-hand turn southbound. Importantly, NV Energy did not do these improvements. They have a substation that's creating substantial traffic. They're going to benefit, the community is going to benefit, but EDF and its sole, offer is to do $2 million worth of upgrades and improvements. I don't believe any other project has come forward to create that type of commitment. We're also committed to the other cumulative impacts at Ramsey Weeks and elsewhere. Next slide, please. I believe that's it. So, Chair, I greatly appreciate the opportunity to walk through that again. It was not to belabor the point. We would be happy to answer any questions, talk through any of these slides in detail.
Do you guys want to ask questions now, or do you want public comment and then ask questions?
Public comment.
Public comment? Before we go to public comment, I'm going to take a 10-minute break and use the restroom. Okay, we're back in session. This is time for public comment. We've got the sign-in sheet over here on your right on this desk. If you can form a line from the desk backwards, so I know how many people are going to speak on public comment. Sign your name and then go ahead and go up to the podium. Everyone gets to speak once and only once, and you have a 3-minute time limit. Also state your name when you get up to the podium.
Well, my name is Tim Faust, FAUST, in case you need that. Thank you for the time, 3 minutes. I got to do a kudos on that DOT thing for alternate 95. I hope you guys work on it, because I do not like traveling from Silver Springs to Yerington following that 18-wheeler that is conscientious with the speed limit, thanks to Lyon County SO. Great job. So they go real slow and we have to follow them because it's really hard to bypass. Anyway, let me get my points. I do love solar energy. I am a homeowner of solar panels. I totally love green renewable energy. But let's talk about some of the benefits and some of the perks that we all heard, the dangles of the shiny objects, the school money that we're going to be getting with taxes. 2017, 2018, Nevada received money from the cannabis tax. Schools in Nevada are still low. So that money, really, that was just a shiny object in front of everybody. I don't know who benefited from it, but our school districts in Nevada did not. We're at 47 or 48 in the nation. Let's go ahead and move on with the unemployment. I believe Yerington's got 3,500 people in Yerington. It's going to be approximately 400 people are going to be working on this project. So where are all these people coming from? Will the people from Lyon County benefit? And will they come from Yerington? Otherwise, if they're going to be coming from other areas, that means Silver Springs, Dayton, Stagecoach, Fernley. That means, yes, we're going to see that impact on 95 coming through to Yerington. So the temporary jobs, those people, is that money actually going to stay in Yerington? or in Lyon County? Are you gonna set up a man camp for these construction workers? Or are they gonna be just, like you say, is that money gonna stay in, so the businesses in Lewington will benefit? Or will it be sent out? I have been on plenty of projects where I've seen a lot of these mining operations in Tonopah, Goldfield, Ely, Winnemucca. They come up overnight, the people come in, but they stay at motels, and then before you know it, all that money goes away. It's being sent home to their loved ones. The other one, bodies of water, we're all concerned about hazardous materials, and is there going to be any type of truck or pipeline that could possibly be an environmental impact on those riparian zones or the waterways? Fire and ambulance. During this time, 450 people, that's a lot. Is that, are you serious?
Yeah.
That's you.
God bless. I guess so. Oh, I see.
And I just want to make a comment too. If you guys are going to be repetitive on anything, just tell us that you agree with it, what's been said, and whether you're for or against the project. Did you sign in?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Phyllis Hiskett. Try not to repeat anything. First, I want to comment on the letters of support that were mentioned in the packet. If you really review where they came from, starts with people involved in the project or land. Very few were even from Yerington. They were mostly from other cities in the county. So it should only count from people directly impacted. My biggest objection, again, which is same as many of these other projects that are coming up, is the battery storage, the danger of the battery storage. They've got to come up with better answers, because if you're in the line of the wind and those things catch on fire, we're right down the road. And again, I don't want to repeat it because I read the whole thing in a previous meeting on the hazards of the battery storage fires. Big issue. I think that maybe this could just be tabled, because it sounds like we have an awful lot of issues that haven't been worked out on their presentation and commitments. We should stick to a minimum of that half-mile setback. I don't think anything should be wavered. Again, you'd be setting precedent for other developments if you waiver a setback for something. With all the many planned developments that are trying to come into our North Valley, traffic is still a huge issue. And band-aiding a few intersections is not the answer. 95A cannot handle all of these proposed projects. Something more has to be worked out with NDOT before we can continue to build in the same little congested area. It's just too much. Now it's expanding into Silver Springs. They're asking for changes to intersections. You can't band-aid intersections. 95A cannot handle what's ahead of us. And it's going to hit, the developments will come in and we'll be behind the 8 ball. 95A will just be a parking lot because we didn't address that first. So if there's any way that coordination can be worked out with NDOT about what really needs to be done to 95A prior to adding more of these projects. So again, I'm asking that this just be tabled so that all these things can be addressed. Obviously, some stuff hasn't even been finished anyways. All righty, thank you.
Judith Harker, and I did sign in. I support the staff recommendation to deny the request today for the Winston Solar Plan Unit development. Given the traffic, the TIS discussions and the information that's incomplete at this point, I think it would be wise to just wait until we get all the information before we make a full decision. And for me, as the previous person said, I think waiting a meeting or two to make a final decision would be wise. Another reason is that I hate to see the county undermine the setback ordinances that were put in to protect us, the residents, that were put in place last June. This is not the only solar proposal that the county is going to receive. We're going to face this issue again and again. And I think we really need to retain the safety and health standards that are set by the setbacks. Don't be dazzled by the promised millions in tax revenues. When you get to 20 and 40-year totals, it's kind of meaningless. We need to do a real tax estimate based on depreciation schedule almost per year that is also adjusted for the loss of income from the fact that the Massini property is not going to be, there's no property income going to be coming from that any longer. Give us believable numbers before we really start knocking things around. Regarding the visual impacts, the proposed mitigation to plant 45 feet of cottonwoods is kind of silly. Do they imagine the sun doesn't shine in the wintertime when the trees have no leaves? They also failed to mention that the medevac helicopter flying from South Lyon to Reno will pass over this facility, and glare mitigation, well, at least we have to appreciate the effect of glare on such a thing. And again, I'm really worried about I'm glad that they've decided to look outside the box and take into account all the projects, because that has to be done. And I also agree that we have to look forward in the 10-year, maybe front time frame, and plan the improvements to 95A, going all the way from Yarrington to Silver Springs in order to account for the coming projects that we can see on the horizon. Thank you.
Next.
Good morning, Melanie Young. I'm a Lyon County resident, but I also represent the Yerington Main Street Committee and the Yerington Chamber of Commerce. And we've both submitted letters of support for this project and can hope you consider those in detail. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next.
Yeah, Scott Lumley. Kind of got threw off a little bit this morning. First, I want to thank you guys for everything you do, and I just want to give you a little data on some of this stuff. The Conservancy's already taken 1,800 acres between Smith Valley and Yerington. They've taken a total of 26,000 acre feet of water, and they want to take up to 50,000 acre feet. Okay. With that being said, you guys got a big question to ask you. I'm worried about my grandkids as they come through this thing and everything else. I really worry about where Yerington stands. I could keep going on with things. I'm in support of the project, but I do have a question. 12A, we spent probably 15-20 minutes and we let that one go through. And that was a conditional use permit. And this one's a plan called a plan unit development. I think before you can end up asking anything, I need to understand what the difference is between those two. Because we let one go through in Dayton, and I'm familiar with the accidents and deaths over there, which is sad. I'm not saying we should have it or not, but this project here is important to Yerington and to the development of other projects we have. Plus, we also got to look at this as private property. This is a person's property, and in some ways, depending on how it affects community, if this is something in 2018, 2020, we were supposed to go 50% solar, and we voted that in at 60%. I really don't understand why we're having these discussions. 60% of the voters wanted solar. We had a spot where we can get 400 megawatts when the state right now is taking 5,000 megawatts. There's something I'm not understanding in the middle of this whole thing with some of this. I do understand that some things happened under the PUD and that type of thing that weren't vetted right between the company and the county. We need to work through some of that stuff, guys. I know there's ways to get to the end. Other than screaming and yelling, I'm not too impressed by the way the meeting went with where it could have went. It was better than where it could have went, but we've got some questions to ask, and I appreciate everything you guys do because you should be asking some of the questions. Thank you.
My name's Frank Del Porro. I'm from Unionton, Nevada. I'd like to ask the questions about the right of ways and the privileges of the roads. Did Lyon County okay when they built Parkway? Did they do a study on that road coming in Lyon County? I don't know. You guys should know. Okay, did they do that? Okay, so they bought people, they went to Fallon. Went to Fallon, and then 4 years ago, when the road was closed between Fallon and Schurz because of the floods, then all the traffic started coming through Yerington and going south. And the people that were coming off Parkway, instead of going through Gardnerville and Dayton that way, they were coming through Yerington, going to Smith Valley. I've talked to people in Smith Valley that's been there 5-6 generations, and the traffic is atrocious going there, through there. But, and then another question I have, when they build the new transformer station down there, they're working on whatever it's called. Did they do an impact study on the traffic down there? How did that get through without an impact study on the traffic? Now we're worrying about the traffic. Everybody's worried about the traffic. I realize they're concerned about it, but you're letting the horses out and then shutting the gate. They should have been doing it a long time ago and stuff. So I appreciate you guys spending your time and listening to me, and I hope you think about it a little bit. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jim DeChambeau. Number one, my biggest concern is why is this allowed as a PUD when it doesn't meet any reasonable requirements of a PUD? It should be treated just like the data center was as a special use permit and a change of zoning. It doesn't work. And the setbacks should be held to what they are in the ordinance at a half a mile. As far as the taxes on that, the 680 acre solar field that is in existence on Sierra Way only pays $8,000 a year in taxes. So if this is 4 times the size, you can figure out how much taxes it's going to pay. It's not going to give us a whole bunch of money. The letters that were in favor of this, I got to give whoever dreamed that up an A for creative writing, because 75% of them are all the same. And again, over half of the people that were in favor of it are outside of Mason and Smith Valley, so it doesn't affect them. And many of the people that commented on it have a financial interest in it, like one of the last speakers. You're gonna take
take me in about like you promised. That's slander.
And if this was proposed in Smith Valley, we'd hear everybody in Smith Valley raise up and howl like a pit coon, because they wouldn't go for this at all. It doesn't fit in Lyon County. It doesn't fit in agricultural. We should not be taking ag land out for solar panels. France has outlawed outlawed putting solar panels on agricultural land. And it's a time that we need to start looking at that. We don't make, the agriculture land doesn't grow on trees. Once it's gone, it's gone. And the few people that do provide the food, there's less of them every year. And we all need the food. So this should be voted no, simply because it's a PUD and because of the traffic study. They did not do a complete traffic study. We need a traffic light at Goldfield. We need a traffic light at Sierra Way. And we don't only need, we need turns lane to one west too.
Next, I want to remind people, any disruption of a meeting is a misdemeanor in the state under NRS, so please don't.
File charges now.
Please don't interrupt the meeting. Go ahead.
I come up here again to say I'm against this project, not that I'm against solar. A lot of smart people right here. And there's a reason why the Department of Transportation is not involved in this. Highway 95 needs to be corrected there. I don't even like taking anymore. I know Smith Valley doesn't like me cutting through their city, but it's gonna be a lot more of that. Going out 95 is dangerous to every citizen here. I'm sure all the law enforcement will tell you how many accidents are out there. It's dangerous to the citizens now. And when you add this, I'm not against the project out there, but now they pulled the project closer to the highway. How are we ever gonna widen the highway there? I want Yerington to develop and grow. Solar's good. Location, location, location. This isn't the right location. It's dangerous to the citizens. I'm against this because of the highway.
Your name, sir?
Leo Slaughter.
Is there any more public comment in the room? Seeing none, I'm closing public comment in the room. On to online. Kayla Alm, you're up.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Kayla Alm, and I serve as the Director for Health, Safety, and Environmental Permitting for Comstock Metals. As your local solar panel recycling facility, we strongly recommend and also note that under the 2025 legislative sessions AB 493 requirements, to include a decommissioning plan that outlines how the panels will be managed and ideally recycled at their end of life, as well as how many panels be damaged during installation or other incidents, and how will they be handled and recycled to keep them out of Nevada landfills. Our team has extensive experience developing these decommissioning plans for similar projects. We're offering our services and assistance for this project as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Nick Beaton, Yerington City Councilman, and many other roles within Mason Valley. I just wanted to express my support for the project. I think that the economic development in our part of the county is very, very vital right now as we rely on a very small handful of companies within a very small handful of industry to keep our population going. I think that the economic benefit to the county and the schools and the special districts would be great. And in my experience, at least with this company, they've proven to be good community partners that want to do this project the right way. And for all of those reasons, I just want to voice my support. Thank you.
Thank you. Leslie Smith.
Good morning. Last year, this board adopted an amended code for projects such as the one being presented today. In watching the discussions, when you amended the code, you were not trying to stop these projects, but were simply trying to ensure that you, who represent all residents of Lyon County, would have final say in the location and size of the projects and have ways to mitigate issues that are always of concern on these monster projects, such as traffic, viewshed, setbacks, water, etc. Jump ahead just a few months, and one of the first major projects that should be subject to all aspects of the amended code is asking for leniency and permission to not follow said code. If the setbacks they want are necessary to achieve financial feasibility, and installing a whopping 780,000 solar panels is a make or break for this project, maybe it would be better suited for another location. Mr. Cariola put together a very thoughtful and detailed analysis of this project, and I personally want to thank him for making these things very understandable when he presents. And he found that he could not make the required findings for a planned unit development and recommended denial. I urge you to support Mr. Cariola's findings and deny the request for this project as submitted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi, my name is KJ Joshi. I'm actually a landowner in the area in Mason Valley, and I'm highly supportive of the project. Just wanted to make sure that, while people are raising their, hands saying they're not supportive, I am actually a landowner in Lyon County, and I'm supportive of the project. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see anybody else online. Okay. Closing public comment. We back to the board for comment or questions. And I'll start with Commissioner Hockaday, and I'll go right down the line because I'm sure every one of us have some stuff to say.
I certainly support the economic development, however, develop ordinance for setbacks.
Commissioner Hockaday, could you turn on your microphone?
Yeah, I say I support economic development. There's no doubt about that. However, we did in June set up our ordinances for the solar panel setback. My concern is that we're just basically bypassing those ordinances by developing a PUD. I don't believe that's the appropriate method for establishing these solar panels, and it certainly sets a precedent in the future that all solar companies can come to Lyon County and just say, we're a PUD. We establish this as a PUD, we establish all the rest of them as a PUD. It's the only way it would be fair to the rest of the companies that come here.
Mr. Casanelli. Thank you, Chair. Yeah, when we established the code in June, I definitely was in favor of having some flexibility in the setbacks. However, we need to have justification on those, and 88% reduction is, we got to meet somewhere in the middle on that, I think. And with the lack of NDOT's comments, it's difficult situation here. We're being asked to approve this PUD based on all the information, but we don't have all the information. So that's where I'm struggling with that.
Commissioner Hendricks.
Yeah, I too have a problem with the precedent that this sets. I don't want to set a precedent of approving an incomplete submittal. And I know what my thought process was when we went through that ordinance. I've spent a lot of time researching these types of projects and best practices, and I am unwilling to make any adjustments on the setbacks.
Commissioner Jacobson.
Thank you. Can you pull up the presentation, Martha? You go back from the end. Well, would be start clicking forward if you don't mind to where it shows the setbacks. Like, keep going maybe a couple more. It shows the houses involved. Right there. Almost towards the south end of the project, there's that indentation, that yellow house. Is that going to be totally surrounded by solar fields right there? Do you have a clicker that you can wiggle? Yeah, that one right there. How far is that from that actual residence and property?
Do you want to wait till the end? That's a question I have. Okay, go ahead. I was going to have everybody give their.
Through the chair, Commissioner Jacobson. It's not fully surrounded. Yeah, as you can see, the dashed line is the line of our control right now. So right now we're planning for panels on the north side and the east side of that house. That house is a part of the Massini family, and the rest of the land is who we're getting the land from. And so that's the current plan at this time.
All right, so that addresses the property. All right. Because when I first saw that, I'm like, if that's with some poor individual that's not affiliated with this project. Okay. I think we can all agree that that would be a stretch to say, yeah, that doesn't affect my property any right. And then this might be for the DA or Andrew, but I just want to ask a question regarding precedent on this. If approved, will have a possible repercussions down the road if we deny a project based on setbacks or lack of a approved traffic impact study? Would we face possible litigation and lose if we start approving these and not approving them and kind of on a case-by-case basis?
Steve Rye, District Attorney. The county code does give you the ability to evaluate on a case-by-case basis. But as Lewis pointed out, particularly with the setbacks, you have to make the required findings in order to do that. The precedent and the problem would be if you fudge on those findings or don't make the findings supported by the evidence, then that could be used in future applications that come forward. Does that answer your question with respect to the setback?
So I guess my next would be if we move to delay this till some of these things are answered and so that everybody crosses their T's and dots their I's, like the traffic study, etc. Is the motion for delay written? Yes, up to that standard?
Yes, I believe it is written to that standard. Yeah, and then I didn't answer your traffic impact study question. It would, I don't think it would result in litigation necessarily, but future applicants could claim that you didn't require a traffic impact study in this project, so you shouldn't in theirs. So it could put the county staff and board in an awkward position on future applications.
Okay, I hope everyone heard that. Thank you, Mr. Rye.
Okay, I'll have a few, so I'll go back with what everybody's talked about first. We'll go with the traffic impact study. Normally, what would happen is that we'd get that and then the county would look it over and Lewis would look it over and then present it to us so that we would have, instead of doing it here on a promise. So I'm really not in the camp to read what we pass later. So I want to see what they come up with and then bring it back here for that. Also the decommission, I didn't see anything on there and I'm not sure if it's a thing that we can do right now, but I do want to say it out in the public, is on dismantling, on decommission stuff. A lot of these places like mining and dismantling yards, and certainly solar could fall into this, to where at the end of their time, they, instead of decommissioning, they just keep paying a license and let it keep going forever because it's cheaper to pay that license instead of going through recommission. So is there can there be something in there that stipulates when they stop producing power or stop doing a certain amount that they have to start doing decommission?
Andrew Haskett, Lyon County Manager. So that is actually already in the ordinance that was passed last year.
Okay, so there is a percentage.
You
can put it in
no percentage, but it could be in the final PUD where that.
Okay. I wasn't real happy with the negotiations with the planning commission with that, how that worked out when they didn't have everything before them either. The setbacks to me weren't justified, and then to me right now I'm looking toward the complete setbacks the way they're supposed to be written in code. But that would be up to whatever the planning department and you worked out moving forward. The senior planner on giving us alternatives when it comes back, if it comes back. With that being said, I got a couple more, but I don't think they need to be addressed right now. But one thing that I think does need to be addressed is that we have three things in front of us. We either have approval, denial, or we can go to a table it. And I want to see before we go to a motion that are you guys willing to table? Be okay with the table? Because otherwise you're going to get either a yes or a no. And that could stop you for up to a year.
Chairman Keller, thank you for that question. Devin Muto from EDF. Again, first of all, I want to thank you all for this conversation. This is exactly why we wanted to be here today, is to get the input from you, get the input from the public, because we're trying to figure out how to design our project to be responsive to your concerns and to the community's concerns. I do, we did not want to put you in this difficult position of feeling like you're being forced to make a decision on the project. If tabling the item allows us to get to a place where you're more comfortable with it, then we are happy to work with you on that. As I mentioned, we're under some strict timelines, so we'd like to get back in front of you as soon as we can. And if there's any more input with regards to the project on what we can do, as I mentioned, if we reduce the setback, or if we go with the full setbacks, we're probably reducing the size of the project. We want to try to get as large of a project as possible. So we could like either meet in the middle ground or look to add land or something like that. We want to work through that as well. So we appreciate that opportunity. And if tabling allows us to do that, then we're open to that.
Okay, and you realize that you're taking on that risk on the totaling as far as if it extended costs and stuff, because you still might get a denial at the end of that.
That's why we would like to be back in front of you as soon as possible. Okay. So
I'm just saying, as long as you guys are willing to take the risk, because it might be financially more on your side and you still might get a denial. So
we understand that we're significantly at risk as we are. We've already invested, as we mentioned, millions and millions of dollars into this project. We do need to get to a point very soon where we know if this is going to proceed. And so we would ask that if it is tabled, that we be allowed to be back within, I'd say, a month. It sounds like we can really push on NDOT and try to get some feedback from them and hopefully have something that you can respond to there. And then any other input you provide today, we'd be working on that and be back in front of you.
thank you. And I also wanted to bring up one comment that we were against solar being on public BLM land and that kind of thing was brought up. And we're not against solar on BLM. It's just a right fit. We do get revenue sharing from them, which we're not getting from you at this point. So that's a better project actually being on BLM if it fits. So I just want to make that comment. In my opinion, that's okay. We're ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion based on the inability to make the aforementioned findings. I move that the Board of County Commissioners deny the request from Winston FC Solar LLC for a planned unit development for the Winston Solar project. The project consists of 400 megawatt photovoltaic solar energy facility with approximately 780,000 solar panels, a battery energy storage system, an electrical substation, high voltage power lines, and an operations and maintenance building on 11 parcels totaling approximately 2,374 acres in Mason Valley, subject to heavy industrial suburban and rural residential 20-acre minimum, zoning APNS 014-091-13-15-16-1722 014-201-14-17-18-32-33-35 PLZ 2025-084.
Okay, that's a motion for denial. Is there a second? That motion fails for lack of a second. Do we have another motion? Commissioner Hendricks.
Based on finding A, and I'm going to read it, additional information, discussion, and public review are necessary for a more thorough review of the proposed application, particularly due to the lack of review comments from the Nevada Department of Transportation relating to the traffic impact study. And with the applicant's concurrence, the Board of County Commissioners continues the request from Winston FC Solar LLC for a planned unit development for the Winston Solar Project. The project consists of a 400 megawatt photovoltaic solar energy facility with approximately 780,000 solar panels, a battery energy storage system, an electrical substation, high voltage power lines, and an operations and maintenance building on 11 parcels, totaling approximately 2,374 acres in Mason Valley, subject to heavy industrial, suburban, and rural residential 20-acre minimum zoning APN 014 091 13 15 16 17 22 014-201 14 17 18 32 and 35 PLZ 2025-084 for 30 days.
Second. This is a motion for continuance for 30 days. From this date, could I get the county manager up?
Andy Baskin, Lyon County Manager.
I want to make sure we're not tied into a box.
Yeah, I would leave it open-ended if you don't mind, just
Okay.
because I don't know how long the impact, traffic impact stays.
Track the 30 days.
And the first board meeting's in 31 days.
So are you changing it to a table? Table is where it's open-ended.
Yes, table.
I'll second the amendment to the motion.
I have one question, and maybe somebody can answer for me, because she said in particular to the highway study, but it includes everything that we talked about, right? Because
I'm sorry, the motion was specific to
it
the
said
highway.
particularly due to the lack of the highway, but
That was finding A. I read it into the record.
Okay,
so do we have to? Because I think setbacks and the rest of it need to be in there.
oh, hold on a second. Okay. I need to revise what I said earlier. So we do have to have a date. The code does require a date, but we could do like 90 days or something. That would give us enough time to get that figured out.
Can you do 90 days or sooner?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And as far as the motion, it sounds like that was specific to the traffic impact study. So if the setbacks are something that you want us to take a look at as well, then
Do you want me to?
maybe we should have that in there.
Did we just say that was discussed by? As discussed by the board?
Yeah, just the motion that was made, and I realized that was how it was in the packet.
Yeah.
To include as discussed by the board.
To include the issues that were discussed by the board.
Okay.
And to extend it for a maximum of 90 days.
Perfect. Thank you.
Does the second still hold? So we got a motion by Commissioner Hendricks, second by Commissioner Jacobson. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against?
Nay.
Commissioner Hockaday votes in nay. Motion passes 4-0. Give a little bit of a second here for the room to clear. I don't think we have a whole lot left, so just keep working through lunch. All right. Moving to 13A for possible action, approve the Smith Valley Park and Recreation requested improvement on the southwest corner of the current tractor pull area at Dressler Park in order to develop a new practice field for Little League baseball. This was recommended for approval by the Smith Valley Park and Recreation Board at their special meeting held on December 12th, 2025. Somebody presenting this item?
Director Homestead's online.
Director Homestead.
Yeah, I apologize for not being there. I thought you would probably be breaking after that. I thought it'd go on a little bit longer than that. The Smith Valley Park Board held a special meeting on, I think it was December 22nd, and they just wanted your guys' approval on the use of the land with my department and them. We figured this is a better use of the land, and they're not asking for any financial commitment at this time. When we do start developing them, we'll come back to you, to them and you for approval for funds.
Questions or input?
Just for curiosity's sake, Mr. Homestead, when was the last time we had a tractor pull there at the park?
Smith Valley Day.
October, and then is that a once a year tractor pull or is it?
Yeah, that's usually when the tractor pull occurs during fun days. Situation is that this is basically way over on the lower west corner of that area. It doesn't really affect anything other than we're going to scrape some grass up and compact some soil in for the practice field.
I don't know. I'm just curious.
Any other comments? Any public comment? Seeing none in the room, none online, bring back to the board for a motion.
I'll move to approve the Smith Valley Park and Recreation requested improvement of the southwest corner of the current tractor pull area at Dressler Park in order to develop a new practice field for Little League baseball. This was recommended for approval by the Smith Valley Park and Recreation Board at their special meeting held on December 12th, 2025.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Hockaday, seconded by Commissioner Hendricks. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. 14, Human Services, 14A, for possible action, approve a contract between Lyon County and Pathfinder Network in an amount not to exceed $10,675 for the purchase of parenting education curriculum and staff training, enabling Lyon County Human Services to deliver parenting education to incarcerated clients, funded through the Comprehensive Opioid Stimulant and Substance Use Program funds, and to authorize the Human Services Director to sign. Sheila Holmes, Lyon County Director of Lyon County Human Services. Dr. Holmes.
Hello, Dr. Holmes, Director of Lyon County Human Services. For the record, this agenda item 14A and 14B are utilizing comprehensive opioid stimulant and substance use programming funds. This is the last year that these funds are available. So as opposed to utilizing it towards payroll, we are using some of it towards payroll, but we would also like to be able to invest in some training and some curriculum to be able to further these funds out past their lifespan. So.
Any questions or comments? Any public comment? Seeing none in the room, bring it back to the board for motion.
Move to approve a contract between Lyon County and Pathfinder Network in an amount not to exceed $10,675 for the purchase of parenting education curriculum and staff training, enabling Lyon County Human Services to deliver parenting education to incarcerated clients, funded through the Comprehensive Opioid Stimulant and Substance Use Program funds, and to authorize Human Services Director to sign.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hendricks, seconded by Commissioner Hockaday. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. 14B for possible action, approve a contract between Lyon County and the Change Companies in an amount not to exceed $10,500 to provide a digital programming platform for cognitive behavioral interventions and interactive journaling for incarcerated clients, funded through the comprehensive opioid stimulant and substance use program funds. And to authorize the Human Services Director to sign. Shayla Holmes, Director of Lyon County Services. Dr. Holmes.
Again, Shayla Holmes, Director, Lyon County Human Services for the record. This just allows us to be able to have greater impact from these funds past its lifespan by investing in some training and some curriculum that we could utilize for perpetuity.
Any questions or comments? Any public comment? Seeing none in the room, then I'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
I'll move to approve a contract between Lyon County and the Change Companies in an amount not to exceed $10,500 to provide a digital programming platform for cognitive behavioral interventions and interactive journaling for incarcerated clients, funded through the comprehensive opioid stimulant and substance use program funds, and to authorize the Human Services Director to sign.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Casanelli, second by Commissioner Hendricks. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. Brings us to County Manager. 15A for possible action appoint county commissions and staff to the following boards, commissions, or committees for the calendar year 2026 and that are listed on the agenda. And first thing I want to ask is anybody want to change in their board or commission, or are you okay where you're sitting?
I'm good.
I'm good with where I am. I just had one question on the Nevada Works. I've never been notified of any meetings on that. I don't.
And well, I've attended.
Most of those are whatever ones I can online, which have been a handful. It seems like right now they're scrambling a bit with funding questions and whatnot, but it does sound like what I think we need to do, and that was actually one of my agenda requests, was going to have them asked to come out and present to Lyon County, and just we get more involved. When I sit in on them, I can't comment whether I get much out of it or not.
Yeah, I just saw my name listed there.
You're it.
And I never, I wasn't aware of any of the meetings. I'm happy to attend, but.
And that's kind of the same, how you feel about that on the Nevada Commission on Aging. I'd like to get on that mailing list or whatever. I mean, I would like to be more active on that. I know, Fernley City Council has something going there with Torres, Councilman Torres, but just some information from them on when they meet and getting involved on their email. But other than that, I would be fine with staying status quo.
We can try.
I had to chase them down online, and you actually have to go through and get appointed by the governor for that position.
Yeah.
For a certain term.
I haven't received anything.
All right, we'll get some more information on both of those and make sure that we get that taken care of. I was unaware about that.
He took it over last year, but my appointment hadn't expired, so I still served on it until it expired.
Oh, gotcha. All right. Yeah, I didn't.
Okay, and I'm good with mine. So everybody's good with where they're sitting. So I'll make a motion to appoint the county commissioners and staff to the following boards, commissions, and committees that are listed for the calendar year 2026 to stay as the same as 2025.
Second.
I got a motion by Commissioner Keller, second by Commissioner Hockaday. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Brings us to agenda request, which I think Commissioner Jacobson has one. We had started off.
I do. Just invite Nevada Works at some point to come out and share with us what they can offer for Lyon County. I know they it's a lot of employment opportunities for that they try and work with, and I think the more they network probably the better for their organization as well. And then just a reminder, I believe the Boys and Girls Club from Fernley is planning on presenting, and I should say, I believe the folks from Trucking Meadow are going to join Oscar from Fernley to come out and share with some of that. And probably a big follow-up on some of the ARPA funds and how they've benefited from receiving those from the county. So and that will be on there as well.
Yeah, the Boys and Girls Club presentation is actually scheduled for the next meeting, so.
That's all I have, Chair.
Commissioner Hendricks, agenda request?
No.
Commissioner Castellano, Commissioner Lopate. So no more agenda requests. Commissioner comments. Start back with Commissioner Hockaday. Mr. Castellano.
Just condolences to your family. Chair. That's.
Thank you. Commissioner Hendricks.
No.
Commissioner.
Yeah, condolences to you and Vida. And send the heartfelt condolences to Vida. Losing her daddy's got to be tough. So I do feel for her.
And I want to thank everybody for their comments. 18, public participation, last public participation. Do we have any in the room?
Mary Ann Seachack from Stagecoach. Listening to the discussion that went on today, it occurs to me that the item might not have been placed on the agenda that was controversial if it hadn't come with an approval from the planning commission. My question is, what qualifies a person to be on the planning commission? If there were an opening and I put forward my my self-nomination to be on the committee and I was selected to be on it, I have the foggiest idea about what to do on a planning commission. So I don't know whether the county or the commission has an ability to require to make some requirements for the qualifications for the people who are on a committee like that, which is a voluntary committee. But it might be something to think about.
Thank you. We don't answer questions during public comment, but if you talk to the county manager, he might be able to fill you in on that. Do we have any other public comment?
I think I have the answer. But that's it.
Any public comment online? Seeing none, it's 12:22. We're adjourned.